Anti-derivative Jill.
Greetings and felicitations.
Silent Breed is people!
Hello, I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations number 97, where I'm continuing a special journey through all of the episodes of Star Trek, the original series, and we're watching in production order, so we are on the episode entitled The Mark of Gideon, which is the 72nd episode, and that means we only have 8 episodes left. but we're in the second half of those episodes, and if this were not titled Star Trek, the original series, I don't think this would be something I would choose to discuss, because I don't know. I'm giving away my hand already really early on this one.
Let's get straight to ratings.
Yeah, straight to ratings. Okay. Today we have with us Scotty R37. It's really great to see you today. How are you?
It's good to be here. Thank you. Hello, panel. Hello, chat.
Also, hello to Pop Culture Curator.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all.
Awesome. And Jim, how's your day?
Oh, doing pretty good. I did a couple acting jobs and trying to cut them out and get ready for another fan film to get released soon.
Very nice. Well, the reference to production of these episodes includes Star Trek 365. I learned about that from Raquel Briggs at the Clobber Times channel. They review all of the real Star Trek from 1966 to 2005, and right now they're in the middle of we're starting season 5 of Voyager, in the middle, I guess. We're not in the middle quite yet, but yeah. And then I will
season 5 out of 7. That's kind of in the middle, more than the middle, little in the middle, but you got much back.
The series as a whole, yes, but towards the beginning of season 5, not quite the middle of season 5 is what I meant.
I'll pay attention.
But I'll also make references to These Are the Voyages by Mark Cushman, because he's got some good stuff there. Any other references I make, I'll cite as I go along. Even though my slides go in order, I don't mind if you want to talk about different parts of this episode, especially this one. To help with that, I'll read the preview for The Mark of Gideon. So, the United Federation of Planets has been trying to recruit Gideon, supposedly a virtual paradise, as a member world for some time, with no success. Now the planet's ruling council has agreed to the presence of a Federation delegation of 1. The captain of the Enterprise. Kirk beams down to the specified coordinates, but finds that he is still on the Enterprise, which is unaccountably unpopulated, except for a beautiful young girl named Odana.
Oh, yeah.
In the meantime,
Gideon's Odana.
Gideon's council reports that Kirk never arrived and refuses to allow Spock to mount a search party to look for the captain. On Kirk's Enterprise, Odana claims to be ignorant of how she herself arrived on the ship, but Kirk suspects that something insidious is going on. Oh, yeah. So, man, I just want to thank everybody who's also listening in the chat today. It means so much to me that you want to start talk about Star Trek, even though this episode is kind of like what would happen if you told someone what Star Trek was about, but they never actually bothered to learn themselves. So this is this is sort of kind of a parody.
Oh, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a bit of a battle.
It is. But I want to say hello to the chat first before we get to the battle. Oh, because you absolutely love the episode or what?
Franco's here. Hey, Franco.
Franco likes the episode. He says B-. There's so much wrong with this episode. That's a critical review from Franco as a B-. That's how much he loves Star Trek, that he can't rank it below that. That is really sweet. Matt G's also here in the form of Taylor Swift, greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU.
Hey, Matt G.
Yeah, Matt G and Stone Racket says, agreed. There's plenty wrong with this episode, and that's why I gave it a D grade. Ooh. Not even O'Donna's beauty could save this one.
I am flabbergasted.
Oh, wow. Well, I tried, actually. I try every time to find something redeeming. Classic Comics, hello.
Hey, Classic Comics.
Stone Racket says, hello. I'm still waiting for the StreamYard link. I sent you one on Twitter. I sent you one on Discord. If neither work, tell me in the chat. I don't know what's going on. Mystery. And hello to Edge of Time.
Hey, Edge of Time.
Greetings from the Edge of Time, where we never eat a balanced breakfast.
Makes sense. Twinkies for breakfast. Twinkies and gin.
Yeah. Twinkies and coffee.
Wow. Oh, you did send my message. I wasn't sure. I didn't see it.
That's kind of cryptic. Maybe I should be more
the computer control. No, it's cute. I like it.
You should have said that communications station.
Well, it's made of computers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what's up, Plessy Nation from Mariba Bell? It's just that always reminds me of the 90s. All right. Hey, Gavin Blackburn and Grogu also. Yeah. Oh my goodness. The Mark of Gideon first aired on January 17th, 1969. It was written by George F. Slavin and Stanley Adams. Cyrano Jones.
Causing trouble. Again.
Yeah, well. There's something in the 365 book about it. But first I'll bring up the slides because got to get through this.
And Brogu's here. Wanted to say hello to Brogu. Gorilla's Random Thoughts is also in the chat. He's on double super secret cloak mode.
Uh-oh.
Hey. Hello, Gorilla. Don't worry, we won't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm. I guess my beans are already spilled, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where did it go? There it is. All right, so this is from the 365 book about this. This would be fun to read when I can see it. Mm-hmm. The subject of overpopulation has been a hot topic since Earth's population topped 1 billion people in the 19th century. Intellectuals of the day noted that humanity might eventually outstrip the planet's resources. By the beginning of the 20th century, the world's population had jumped to 1.6 billion, and after that, it began to look as if those intellectuals had been right to be concerned. By mid-century, the population had increased by another billion, thanks in part to compulsory vaccination in many regions and improvements in medicine and sanitation. In the second half of the 20th century, things really began to look scary, as the populations in Asia, Latin America, and Africa each jumped by more than 100%. As a result, the population was a whopping 6 billion. As humanity entered the new millennium, clearly a subject of such importance would draw the attention of writers of speculative fiction, and therein came the story idea for the Mark of Gideon. Perhaps it is not a coincidence that the story for this episode was co-written by the actor who played Cyrano Jones In The Trouble with Tribbles, that episode featured a creature that defined overpopulation. However, unlike the cheerful mercenary character he played in Tribbles, Stanley Adams, who died in 1977, is said to have been a man deeply concerned with the problems of overpopulation. During the filming of Tribbles, Adams reportedly had some casual conversations with Gene Roddenberry, suggesting that Star Trek do a story reflecting that subject matter. The Mark of Gideon evidently was the result.
Oddly enough, it did sound, it was mentioned that he was not a fan of the end
right.
result.
Well, yeah, him and his son were watching. His son saw the TV version, and he said, "What did they do?" And Stanley Adams says, "But when they do that to you, when you write for TV, there's an old expression: take the money and run." So yes,
I believe that's a euphemism for the entertainment industry as a whole.
Okay, before I have some notes here on what the original story was supposed to be.
Nice.
Before we look at that, let's see what's here. Oh, Donna.
Oh, Donna.
Oh, Donna. Oh, Donna.
Oh, Donna. I don't want to sing the whole song because I don't know how much, but I had a girl. I thought you were going to reference her being a Gideon idiot. That's the one.
Okay, that's good. So we need to go back to no vaccinations and pooping in the streets, and population numbers will start to even sort themselves out, says Gavin Blackburn.
Well, and Gavin, good choice. I was going to go with Jill's initial suggestion. Soylent Green. It's made of people. Gets rid of them. You can eat them.
So, in the first try at this story, the Enterprise is returning Ambassador Hodan to Gideon, an unknown world that wants to be that has petitioned admittance into the Federation. Okay, so the interesting thing that happens in the treatments for this, when they tried to do what they wanted to do, was that in one script, I guess Hodan loses his hand, and then his fingers begin to regenerate, and in another one, it's the girl's Odana's finger regenerates, but they never do that, and obviously in the TV version. And
I think that would have been graphic for 1969, but I like the idea where that's at, because it is emphatically referred to in terms of their bodies will constantly regenerate. Part of the problem with the highly advanced species is that they can't die unless they just say incredibly old. So you suppose how old is incredibly old.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing where you want to show and don't tell. And so we only ever talk about what's going on in this episode. In fact, that's all this episode is.
Is talk?
Mm-hmm. And so what was supposed to... Well, I know, but it's usually good dialogue. So in this case, there's the 6... Okay, so there was supposed to be a takeover of the Enterprise, not a recreation of the Enterprise.
I like that idea.
They were supposed to... Oh, it's absolutely bonkers, unbelievable, ridiculous on every end. All around. It is so incredibly stupid.
Let's explore once we get to that part of the plot.
All right.
Want to say hi to Dad
What
Man?
Plot? Hey, Dad Man. So their plan, the only thing that translates, I think, into this episode is the plan to infuse human blood with the Gideon blood to introduce pathogens. But they were going to use the whole crew as their blood bank, not just Kirk. But they They turned it into a bottle show, obviously to save money. So there was no kidnapping and taking them to the planet. The idea where the recreation came from was that they were just trying to make the crew feel comfortable. So I would have liked to see kind of like you know how in that episode with the Western episode where
Spectre
they
of the
made
Gun.
Inspector of the Gun, where they made these facades. Like if they would have made facades like cardboard cutouts of the Enterprise, kind of like the way that the Galaxy Quest bridge looks like in the TV show versus in the movie where it looks all perfect. And
Again, you've already acknowledged that it's a matter of saving money.
it is. But I want more creativity, and Star Trek's really good at it. And I think they could have made a crappy recreation of the bridge to make it just a little more believable to someone who has no idea what the Enterprise looks like. Could put forth their representation of what it might look like. Because how should they know what anything looks like? They're not even members of the Federation. They've never been on the starship. Who gave them the plans for the starship? I'm not even supposed to be talking about this part yet, but it's so infuriating.
Shh.
No, but the ambassador has been in contact with the Federation, and in order, that was Jim.
Oh, okay.
I'll say shh.
Don't pay attention to any of the logical fallacies, but I don't think that they're logical leaps.
You don't.
Jim,
All
do
right.
you think that it's
okay? That's fine. Anybody can do it.
Do you think that it is believable that an ambassador from a planet?
Anybody can make the Enterprise. It's fine. Kirk and
Spock
and Scotty are not as special as we thought they were.
I understand that it is really advanced, that they got something down to the level. And one of the things that makes it fall down is that instead of taking O'Donna to sickbay, where does Kirk drop her off all the time? In his quarters. Wouldn't he know? Like, wouldn't he check? Even the safe to find the tape that tells McCoy and Spock what to do after he dies. Like, wouldn't he check out his own digs? Or is he just assuming that everything is perfectly normal? Except for the fact that everybody's gone.
That's the worst part, is that he just looks around and, okay, so they try to, it kind of feels like that Twilight Zone episode where there's nobody around and where's everybody? But then, of course, the whole episode doesn't really have that feel to it because the mystery is destroyed very, very quickly. And so that's the biggest problem I have with it. You're talking about his quarters. I'm talking about everywhere else. When you're a captain, you go on your ship for the first time, you're going to check the systems. You're going to start fiddling with things. He would have found out instantly that it wasn't his ship.
Well, what's really going to bake your noodle is why didn't he have a communicator?
Yeah, exactly. No communicator, no capability of working anything on the ship. He doesn't go check the warp core. I do like the fact that the first person he calls is Scotty, but man, what is this episode? I don't even know. Well, but it was directed by Judd Taylor. Judd Taylor was hired. This was his 4th episode of the series. And apparently he did unique camera angles. Yeah, I did like the direction of the episode. It did look good.
A lot of obvious pickup shots.
Mm-hmm. From other episodes?
From other episodes. Apparently there's one from Ilana Troyes. There's a pickup shot of the sick bay where the red alert is flashing when no red alert was happening anywhere else. So they did sort of put this together with tape.
Well, yeah, especially, oh man. I think the looks of the episode is things that I have the least issue with.
But I think it's one of the staples of Kirk's character is fearing losing command. This is almost reminiscent of This Side of Paradise.
Well, that's the only other episode where he's alone on the bridge.
And him not having a crew to command. Like Kirk loves the Enterprise, but he can't really work it without his team, without his crew. And so I kind of get the sense, and Shatner pulls it off beautifully, is that sort of terror of being alone, and the conversation between O'Donna and Jim, like they're totally, it's like, all I want is to be alone. And Kirk is like, some people are terrified of that. And it's obvious that it is affecting him somewhat. And later on in the episode, are we going mad? And it's like, manipulation, which is, I think this is a very scary episode.
I think that idea was way more effective in this side of paradise because it was his entire crew just completely mutinying against him, going down to the planet because of these spores that only he's unaffected by. And so that's more scary to me because the scariness, I'll admit to you, the mystery was good until they very immediately showed that there is no mystery. There's no more mystery. It's gone.
Well,
they killed it like very, very quickly, as I said.
How are you feeling about this one, Jim?
And so it was no longer scary anymore.
Jim, how are you feeling about this one?
I don't like being alone at all, but if I was on a big old ship like that and I was the only one on there, I'll be trying to contact Starfleet Command. But
and he does. That's eventually he does.
If nothing's working, then you're going to be terrified that you're stuck in this big old starship, and you're captain of the ship, but do you really know what to do?
Yeah, and he doesn't try that though. He doesn't try to say, "Oh man, this thing isn't working." Eventually he does.
Yeah.
And that's my main problem with this episode. Eventually something happens. You immediately know what should happen, and it takes 15-20 minutes for the thing that that's supposed to happen before it happens. And then things are repeated. We learn things over and over again that we already learned. It is not good.
And what's your perspective on it, Pop?
I agree with what you guys are saying. This is not in my top favorites. A lot of plot holes. This is I don't know. I guess I can talk more about it later, but it's not in my favorites. I would put it below the alternative factor.
You know what? Oh my God, I can't believe you said that.
I kid. Your opinion is valid.
Yeah, it's still below, or it's not as bad as The Way of Eden, but it's not as bad. It's still better than the alternative factor, Spock's Brain, or any of those. I'd almost say this is probably my second least favorite.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. I really did enjoy the teaser. The teaser made it seem like something cool was going to happen, like something really neat, a really neat mystery. And I do agree with the creepiness of being alone on the starship. I just wish it would have lasted a little longer. So the story outline, okay, so this is from the 365 book. The story outline for the Mark of Gideon is quite different from the final aired episode. Overpopulation is the crux of the dilemma for the people of Gideon, but the methodology by which Hoden chooses to deal with it is much more disturbing. As with the televised episode, the bait that Hoden uses to attract the Enterprise and his world's apparent willingness to join the Federation. Wait, did I read that right?
Mm-hmm.
But rather than ask Kirk to beam down, Hoden and several of his aides beam aboard the ship and proceed to kidnap Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, and Chapel, who learn that they're to be the subject of experimentation. As in the episode, the Gideonites are plagued with the ability to regenerate all damaged body cells. They plan to use Kirk's crew as living blood banks in the hopes of introducing human ailments into Gideonites. O'Donna is not Hoden's daughter. She is simply a member of the populace chosen as a test subject, and she does indeed fall ill, as does Hoden when McCoy manages to inject him with tainted blood. The Enterprise crew escapes when the guards learn that Hoden and other members of his council had never planned to expose themselves to harm. They were counting on the deaths of the common people to leave their exclusive group free to enjoy immortality in a much less crowded world. Hoden is a more sympathetic person in the Arid episode, and he seems to love his daughter. But there are obvious solutions to Gideon's problems that Hoden never considers. One solution would have been for the inhabitants to forsake the lovely germ-free atmosphere of Gideon and travel to other worlds. Yes, apparently it's pretty there, but if you can't see the proverbial forest for the trees, with all those people, what good is it?
I never got the sense that they were interstellar travelers.
You don't
Also,
think they have starships? You know what?
No,
We
I
don't know.
don't.
We need to think about these people. So
Nothing.
But
Zero.
they don't have to transport themselves. The Federation can help. They can transport them. They can colonize another world if they want to, especially if they become members. There was another. There were the others. The other was the solution that everyone at home was thinking, and that Kirk brings up. Let your people learn about the devices to safely prevent conception. The Federation will provide anything you need. Hoden's response is that his people believe that life is sacred. Yet, in following his rationale a bit further, Kirk and the viewers realize that what Hoden is really advocating is a policy of self-euthanasia for his people, which doesn't seem to support a philosophy based on deep regard for the sacredness of life. Oh, wait. Okay, so he's basically writing my end review for me. Or she is. Paula. But all Kirk and the viewers could do was leave orbit and hope for a happier outcome the following week. Jealous.
Well, it's so funny because we've already dealt with overpopulation or lack of resources, which is something that was the impetus for the story: overpopulation leading to lack of resources. And with that overpopulation, Hoden could have absolutely mowed down a bunch of the there could have been ritualistic sort of mass murder, genocide, if you will. But that was not something that they ever subscribed to. Like the Gideons, I keep wanting to say Gideon.
Well, yeah, because they're working on it. They don't have the viruses yet, so they're working on the genocide. They just haven't got their stuff together yet.
Well, they're kind of like the people who Mirror, Kirk, and crew were supposed to eliminate in Mirror Mirror because they have a value of life. They are absolutely against any sort of disregard for life. And the only reason that they're implementing this is like the sacrifice of Donna is to make it so that other people can value their lives. And you sacrificing your life through something that is not your decision, such as disease, as long as it doesn't run rampant, your sacrifice is actually enriching the lives of others. And so I don't see it as being against how they perceive their love of life. In fact, they do love life so much that they would be willing to give their own up naturally, because it would be abhorrent for these people.
Oh, so you're saying that because it's a volunteer effort that it's not murder.
Right.
So do you feel the same
Hoden
way?
says it. Hoden says it. He says that we need Donna to die so that she will inspire the young people to take up this sacrifice for the benefit of the rest of the Gideons.
Okay, so you're saying because it's a volunteer effort, it's not murder, but do you feel the same way about Taste of Armageddon? That's not murder either. Those aren't murder booths. It's pretty much the same thing to me.
Well, no, but that's an organization that has been agreed upon by two worlds with interstellar travel available to them. I don't think the Gideons have an availability to colonize anywhere else, or else people might take a bus off the planet.
They don't tell us anything at all about the Gideons.
I understand.
In order for us to say that one way or another.
There is extrapolation that is here. I am rather taken by Ambassador Hoden. Like I think while infuriating, he is, performing subterfuge to attempt to cause widespread disease on his planet. He doesn't want to be part of the Federation. He has no interest in it. I think what he's doing is being very calculating and taking advantage of the situation so that he can suit his own people's needs.
Yeah, but why didn't he just say, "Hey guys, can we have some blood? Can you send us down some vials? We need to infect our people."
It's an
with some
intensely, as
diseases
stated in the
to make-
episode, it's an intensely xenophobic species. Won't even allow you to scan their planet. You can't beam down. You can't scan us.
Oh, but Scotty, except for the part of the episode where they're just like, "Oh, we can scan." There's just like a contradiction right in the middle of the episode. The Starship Enterprise scans the planet at one point after saying, "We can't scan," and then they scan. It's hilarious.
Do they scan? When do they scan?
I don't remember when. This whole thing is a mess, but I
thought that the entire realization was them finally getting through that very basic math problem to the coordinates are 875 blah blah blah, and it's like 907 or 709, whatever it is. I thought that they just extrapolated that way.
That's right. That is how they figured that out. All right. I was pretty sure they scanned something, but maybe I'm thinking of something else. You could be right.
I was waiting for it. I could be wrong. Correct me in the chat. I'm often wrong, soon.
No, you could be right. And I was kind of falling asleep watching this episode. Oh my god, it was so bad. I never fall.
Oh, sorry.
I review this episode. I do my prep for this episode in the middle of the night every time, and Star Trek always wakes me up. But not this one.
Franco Walker in the chat says, "How and where did they build a full-size replica of the Enterprise?"
Exactly, Franco, because the freaking world is described as if everybody's so pushed together that nobody has room even to move. And so where do they have room to make this thing? And why don't they have their population within it?
I can't argue with that. I can rationalize it for myself because I do enjoy the episode, but you're right. It doesn't make sense.
Oh man, I wish I could enjoy this episode. I tried.
Well, they do start scanning after this guy told Spock to tend to his machinery. Then Spock tells Sulu to start scanning, and he said, Sulu said, it'll take years. And he says, then he better start scanning.
Well, but he's
scanning space. So that's a little, so that's must be what I was thinking of. And that's fine because it's scanning space. That's different.
I do like the fact that they argue without muting their mic. And they argue right in front of that Gideon council, and the council can hear it and says, "Excuse me, I thought there was static."
Yeah,
noise.
Exactly. The bridge crew would never behave like that in front of a diplomat or in front of.
Yeah, normally they would mute the microphone.
Yeah, at least.
Excuse me, Mr. Spock. There was a lot of noise. Can you tell us more?
He might have said, "Guys, I'm still here."
No.
Confer with your rather excitable repairman.
Ariba Bell says the Gideons recreated the Starship Enterprise using 3D printers and internet deck plans.
Well, and it is sort of made apparent. It's like who to expect. Who should Gideon expect to arrive at this planet? And it is going to be the Enterprise. They do know the crew complement of the Enterprise. That's how they find out about the, Vega meningitis or chroningitis or whatever it's called. And
you need that one?
If you have it. But they've crossed their I's and dotted their T's.
She has Vegan choreo meningitis.
Nice. Ricola. But I thought that this was all just a ruse to get Kirk there. We're kidnapping Kirk. We're going to use his blood to give it to a pretty lady. It's almost like, yeah, I don't want to say space aids, but I just did.
Alrighty then.
Well, that's what they do when they meet each other.
Mhm. Well, I don't know.
No one ever beams down without a communicator. Yes, Franco, no one ever beams down without a communicator.
You're correct.
Absolutely.
I was yelling at the screen.
And Franco Walker says Kirk doesn't even ask the computer
Mhm.
anything. That's a great
Correct.
point.
But he does control it. Like, we do get an inner monologue, but he is using it to contact Starfleet Command. He does check out Sulu's console and Chekhov's console, and then he goes and takes them out of warp. Or theoretic warp. He turns the screensaver off.
Somehow he's fooled.
Well, and that's, I thought,
I don't really.
I don't know. I was thinking about the episode Relics with Scotty, where he said he could feel the feel of the deck plates.
Mm-hmm.
You think that there would have been like the ship rumble? They would have heard, I don't know, just like totally silent with nothing moving, and he couldn't tell. He also said that he combed every inch of the ship. So
yes,
it just.
All right.
I agree. Yeah. Well, even later on in the episode, Kirk says, "I know every sound this ship makes," and yet there's no way that this pretend ship was making the right sounds.
Although there's one point too where him and O'Donnell are on the bridge, and you can hear somebody flip a switch.
I want to say hello to Melvin Deeply.
Hello.
For all those people to be outside the viewing ports, they must have been stood on each other's shoulders. Yes, everybody's getting piggyback rides.
Jedi Bill is here.
Oh, hello, Jedi Bill. Hello twice to Jedi Bill. Edge of Time says, I had the 1975 Mego Enterprise with the spin action transporter. That toy is rugged, considering. Nice. Oh. Edge of Time enjoyed the Colorform Enterprise set. And they were like plastic stickers of Kirk and Spock with different arm and accessories that could be placed around the bridge. Cute. Don't think about space aids.
Too late.
And well, on the Clobbering Times channel, they often think of space herpes, but this feels like a little bit worse.
Way worse.
I do have a few clips I haven't played yet.
They have finally agreed to a delegation of one. Kirk to crew. Is anyone aboard?
Nope.
That was when I was still enjoying the episode. I like this too.
Still orbiting Gideon.
I request permission to beam down to conduct the search for our captain.
This is, that's how soon. They say, hey, there's no mystery. Kirk's not on the right Enterprise.
In the meantime, Mr. Spock, I suggest that you look to your machinery.
Nice guy.
And
we are representatives of the Federation, Doctor.
This is, I don't know, is this the first time we get really bogged down and mired in Federation bureaucracy? And as much as I don't like this episode, I think it's also one of those season 3 episodes that heavily influences the next generation in terms of getting into the bureaucracy that deeply.
Contact Starfleet immediately. Explain our problem. Then the sooner you begin, the better.
When he decides to scan for Kirk, but at this point, later on in the episode, Spock says, I knew he was lying right away. So right away, Spock knows that Kirk's been kidnapped. Why is he bothering to scan space?
Just in case he's out there.
430, and I apparently am the only one left.
Yeah.
If you're not getting any reaction or something out of the people on the planet, you're going to think, well, maybe he beamed into space, so that's why they're going to be scanning. It kind of makes sense.
Well, yeah, I guess if you're thinking that they're malicious.
It kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, but they've gone from
They're very desperate people.
disagreeable to
Yep.
murderous. Why not? I'll give Spock that one. He's just being thorough. And he's just like, I gotta do something. Let's do that.
The sooner the better.
But he wastes the whole time dealing with Starfleet. Since when before has he ever had to ask Starfleet to save Captain Kirk?
I don't think they contacted Starfleet. They was talking to the guys on the planet down there. I don't know. I don't even remember if they did. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, look right here.
They insist that we must go through Starfleet channels.
Gotcha. Damn it, Captain.
Diplomats and bureaucrats may function differently, but they achieve exactly the same results.
Except that, well, yeah, but the crew of the Enterprise know how to also, like, they are the policemen of the galaxy, but they also know how to be diplomats when they need to. They can do all sorts of different functions. They're not. This episode acts like they're completely foreign to the concept of being able to handle people.
We're no longer over, Gideon.
Okay, so my clips are getting past my slides now. So David Hurst was Ambassador Hoden. He was 42 and a character actor in TV and film since 1949. Let's get back to a picture of him. He's right here. He had just appeared in Rowan and Martin's feature film, The Maltese Bippy, with fellow Star Trek guest players Julie Newmar and Arthur Battenides, but I don't know how to pronounce that last name. But he did that.
You're doing better than me.
Well, right. They do say they're isolationists. So that part's true. Tells Spock to look up his machinery. And for some weird reason, Spock's like, yeah, we messed up our machines. You're right. We messed up, so you can have all the cards now.
Yeah.
We're at fault. I don't know, but for some reason that works. And so he gets to be able to transport that other delegate to be able to figure out the coordinates. That's the one clever thing that happens in this episode is gathering the coordinates.
And one nice thing about a starship, everything is being recorded. Everything.
For sure.
But they achieve exactly the same results.
Yes, they do.
Your Excellency, a dispute is the farthest thing from our mind.
Okay. I'm often confused at which part of the episode I'm on because this episode doesn't really have much going on. Oh, right. Okay, so we're meeting this lady. So I should be able to...
Running down the hallway.
Yeah, she's so happy because she's not on her planet anymore. Or actually, she is on her planet. But she's in the most spacious part of her planet, which is this recreation of the Enterprise. And so now she can dance around. She's not shoulder to shoulder and suffocating. And so she's pretending that she has no clue what's going on. She's lying to Captain Kirk, but he doesn't know it yet. He knows something's wrong, but he doesn't suspect her, like, for the longest time. Until she acts weird towards the end of the episode.
Well, once the deception is discovered.
Yeah, finally. So she's 33. And she had something. Yeah, the actress. Sharon Acker is her name. And they're both Canadian, Shatner and Acker.
Well, that explains all the good looking.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she's really pretty, but she has zero chemistry. I don't, for whatever reason, I don't buy their romance any
And
percent of the time.
Bill is trying real hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's feeding her as much as he can, but she's I don't know, she's just not into it.
I don't know. There seems to be a thing about some of the ladies that Kirk engages with, that they become very childlike, innocent, and virginal. And it only takes the virility of Captain Kirk to unleash their adulthood or some such nonsense. It just seems like a thing that is a consistency throughout the third season, at least. Like Miramani.
Well, I
You
didn't mind,
got,
but Miramani I felt the love with Miramani though. That was real.
and then you got the Ilan.
So that's not the problem.
Oh no, I'm just saying I'm not saying that it's a problem with this episode. It might be, absolutely, in terms of the lack of chemistry. I can see what you're saying. I'm just saying it seems to be there. Whenever we talk about Kirk and how he is sort of a space age Don Juan, sometimes a lot of that is third season.
A lot of it is third season. So most of the time before that, when we see Kirk doing this kind of thing, it's because he's trying to save the ship. My favorite example is the Gamesters of Triskelion, where he's romancing a lady in order to, because that's his only option. That's his only strength that he has left, because he's been captured and he's like a slave or something, and he needs to get out of it. And so he does that, and he pretends, and it's believable. There is chemistry there too, and it really works. But here, even though he was just, but here there's no reason even to do it. Like there's no love, there's no actual reason to save the ship, to be with her. It's just there because, as you say, third season just throws it in there because they know what happened before and they didn't understand the purpose of it.
Well, it seems when no other variables are present and O'Donna is the only variable, then Kirk might as well, pump her for information.
O'Donna.
She doesn't really give up any, does she? She's pretty good at just pretending.
Yep.
She was also in It Takes a Thief. And she would also appear in an episode of Mission Impossible with Leonard Nimoy. Acker also was, I guess she was in movies. She was a browbeaten ex-wife in Point Blank.
Ooh, what a great movie that is. Point Blank? No, it is based on a novel. I forget the name of the novel. It's got the Point Break Point Blank. Pardon me. Point Break is very different. Point Blank, Lee Marvin, and your friend and mine, Napoleon Solo, is in that film.
Oh, very neat.
Robert Vaughn.
Very cool. Then she was also in Don't Let the Angels Fall, which is a Canadian film.
That was a prequel to Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh, I love that movie.
I don't think it was factual. I'm sorry for bringing that up.
That's okay.
Damn, Scotty.
What else?
She was chosen as Film Star of Tomorrow by the Motion Picture Exhibitors of Canada. Okay.
And this is a remaster of the traditional chronometer that would have been seen in the original series. This is an update, and I'm okay with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like the chronometer. It looks great to me. I don't know if we want to look at the original. I don't know how many different changes there are that are worth noting in this episode.
I think it's a lot of transitions and planets and ships and whatnot. But they did, again, I'm watching this on my Blu-rays, and it's prompting me to switch over whenever you see the creepy green people.
Yeah, I like that.
Those
creepy green people were so crazy. They were scary.
Why were they even green? Why did they even pop up for no reason? They just they pop in and out of the view screen. But
Well, the
why?
view screen, like when it was the view screen, I thought that was observation, and the direction of the scene made it so that Kirk and O'Donnell weren't looking at the screen. And so for some reason, I just thought it was them, observing. But when it comes to the viewport, I thought that it was an unexpected reaction by Kirk and O'Donnell. And so when they opened the viewport, they were like, oh crap, guys, turn on the starfield.
Oh, kind of like when marketers are using a two-way mirror and somebody
Something like that.
figures it out and reveals it. And then they put it back on.
That was the sense that I got. Also,
I got a sense of nothing. It just was kind of creepy and I'm like, what's going on? No one tells me. Right. But that's because they didn't want to spend any money to show us that they were on the planet. Even though we knew they were on the planet.
Your salad is being tossed with both story and production.
No.
Well, I think, again, if you bring up in terms of the storytelling that they obviously have lack of a budget, I'm not concerned with the lack of a budget. I'm engaged in the story.
I'm not, because they don't immerse me ever. That's why I'm so outside of the story.
Okay.
But there's a chronometer. That's cool. I like that.
It is cool.
But you know what? They forgot to put the little switches. I like the little switches there. Got them.
I want to say hello to
I don't mind the update
414.
of this, though.
Want to say hello to Don Ranger Power.
Hey, Don.
I'd rather just talk about the differences in the chronometers.
Yes, let's talk about the clocks.
And the rest of this episode.
Cuckoo.
Yeah, let's talk to the chat.
Or nothing without the chat.
How did you know what I was about to do, Jim? You're a mind reader.
Yeah.
For all these people to be outside the viewing ports, they must have been stood on each other's shoulders. I read that one before. I don't know where my star went.
I wonder if that's what happens when you get married on Gideon. You take turns giving piggybacks.
Mm-hmm. Interesting how derisive of diplomats Spock is considering his father as one, and he became one himself. Yeah, he really wouldn't be. He really wouldn't be that way. This episode pretends like the crew doesn't know what diplomats are.
But that's been
says.
Remember Ambassador Fox? There's always been an air of diplomacy and bureaucracy is there's speed bumps to progress.
Oh, I love that though, because that's an actual antagonist aboard the ship who is a representative rather than just amorphous. Oh, the Federation over there says we can't do it, but they're not here. They're not on the ship. I don't know. It's just it's more conglomerate.
Seems like world building to me.
Right word. No, that's great. No, that's the only thing that gives this episode any value whatsoever is that the Next Generation definitely takes the idea from this episode and makes it better.
Well, and that's a thing that you've been pointing out often is that you notice a lot of third season original series plots being dropped into the Next Generation. And I was watching this and it sort of just jumped into my mind at around 25 minutes in. And I was like, this is a Next Generation episode. This is like when they take the kids, like Wesley in the first season, up the long ladder. No, that's the Irish one.
That's the racist episode against Irish people. But no, you're thinking of Cradle something.
Oh, the Cradle Will Rock or something. Yeah, When the Bow Breaks.
When the Bow Breaks. That's it.
Don't step in the grass.
No, that was the good.
That was Angel One.
Kind of.
Or no, that was Justice.
Wasn't that great,
that was Justice.
It was okay.
Don't
Justice.
Stay off my lawn.
Okay, we're getting serious now.
Yeah, I know.
We're
talking about anything except this episode.
That's true. Are we all going to ignore those dual eyebrows?
I was fascinated by those eyebrows. Ambassador Hardin, or whatever his name is, Hordick. Odin.
Only on YouTube today. I make a point of giving you a like on both platforms. Oh, I'm sorry, Burger. Yeah, I forgot to do the Rumble. Sometimes I forget the Rumbles. I forgot the Rumbles today. Yeah, my Rumble fans will be I figure they're non-existent, but I guess they'll be disappointed. I don't know. I'm sorry to the Rumbles. Maybe I'll upload it there later. Kronos says, I can't rate it because I don't remember berries it. Yeah, right? I don't remember it either. I watched it lots of years ago.
Fair enough, Kronos.
The only reason I remember it is because I saw it last night.
I seen this probably about a year or two ago, and I watched about 3/4 of it before it popped up here.
Yeah. Hello, Steven and Donnie. Don, Ranger Power.
Don,
Ranger Power. LD Lewis says, Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hello.
Hey, JD.
Happy Tuesday.
Thank you.
Here. And Penny's here. Also. There are no
Penny.
Power Rangers after the original cast.
Booger.
Toss your salad. Now that's what I call disco.
Disco Stew doesn't advertise. Simpsons reference. Simpsons did it.
Hey, Canadian Spider-Man's here.
Hey, Spidey.
Oh, and a Taylor Swift. Yeah, that's Matt G.
Kronos.
Gideon. I don't know any Gideon. That's impossible. She's still lying. She's just still lying. Who cares? What is this episode?
It's a matter of planetary survival, and your dismissive nature is upsetting.
I'm dismissing it because there's so many better ways to do this. All you have to do is, if they're going to kidnap him, at least just steal his blood. And why do they just want one disease? Wouldn't it be good to have a variety? They could have gotten blood from everybody. They could have said, hey, Federation, we want some blood. You kind of need some help here. And they probably would have gotten it.
Just want to point out those dual unibrows.
I like the original. I guess it's just because I like the original treatment of this episode was that it was going to be more of a takeover of the Enterprise, where they were going to do that.
But the thing is that after a wink of an eye, are we going to take over the Enterprise again?
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Well, it's almost the same story, except there, all the wink of an eye planet had to do, I forget the planet, was ask for some sperm.
Still didn't work. Mm-hmm. And then the parallel that I was getting was the empath with the sacrifice of the daughter of Gideon.
The empath.
Alrighty then.
Oh man, another episode. I almost. Oh, jeez. Who sacrifices them?
What's her name?
You think she's Gem?
Yeah,
Gem. I was going to call her Gem, and that's rude. I think she is a volunteer gem, and that is truly, truly, truly outrageous.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess if you want to buy into the premise of what's happening, it's just.
I like the interactions between everybody on the bridge in terms of their concern for Captain Kirk. It's we don't get Christine, but we have top seven.
She was supposed to be in it. She was supposed to be one of the people kidnapped. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Mm-hmm. And so they're going to beam down Krodak, the Gideon representative. All right. Okay, good. Finally.
Well, you know who Krodak is.
Krodak. Yes, tell me. Who is Krodak?
Krodak was played by Eugene Dynarski. You may remember him as Childress in the first season episode, actually like really early first season episode, Mud's Women. And then he returns to Star Trek here. And later on, he even shows up in Star Trek The Next Generation as Quinteros, the Starbase commander. in the episode 1100110110011001111001.
I only saw that he was in that episode, so he's not a binary. He's a member of Starfleet. Okay,
He is.
I'm glad you had that information. Thank you.
110010011001. You can just keep going forever. It's the
You
song
could.
that never ends.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know the name of the episode, you can just say ones and zeros in a random order. No one
That's
will
what I
know the
do.
difference.
No one will. Unless they're looking
Basically,
it up on Google. Sorry.
that was the name of that episode. 001100.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, that's my phone number as well.
Well, you better change it.
Why? Everyone calls and they say, "Can I speak to Commander Quinteros?" And I'm like, "No, I am not Eugene Tynarski. Sorry, pal."
Well, and then there's all of the out of characterness of everybody in terms of Kirk not even knowing his own ship. He would know his ship, and him getting into a romance without the purpose of saving his ship. And
He was pursuing the only lead that he had.
Those damn writers.
lead. I don't know. It was more of a distraction than actually getting anywhere. He didn't get anywhere with it.
They did.
It was,
They got what they wanted.
yeah, I guess they did in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But Spock is also extremely annoyed and exasperated. Like he you can really see how irritated he is. And that's a bit out of character for him as a Vulcan. Did I have it here? Oh yeah, here it is.
Your Excellency, a dispute is the farthest thing from our mind. I merely suggest that the language of our statement may not have been understood exactly as intended.
Ooh, he didn't like that.
Your Excellency, I am basically a scientist.
Basically, you are a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Did that bother you?
This dialogue, it's just
Say those damn
it's
writers.
it's so yeah, those damn writers is
It's so
basically the
what?
problem with it. It is
Mhm.
terrible
How so?
because nothing is really said between them. It's just, oh, you misunderstood me and I misunderstood you, and here we are arguing about nothing.
Which is exactly why. Oh no, not Starfleet channels. Here we are.
Yes, he's infuriating, sir. How can you stand it?
Yeah, exactly.
No matter
Fact
what
that
you
even-
say, Mr. Spock, he'll twist your meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with it being an envoy of the Federation. Unfortunately, you're going to be interacting with people who have ulterior motives and are attempting to achieve their own goals without any actual desire to be a part of the Federation. And that is what
And
is
that should
discovered here.
and that should be how it works, where an antagonist does antagonizing things. So that part I don't mind. It's just that there's no follow-up action. There's no actual something that actually happens in response to the things that are said. And I think that's my main issue with this episode.
I find this
Although I
to
do
be,
like the line, "Don't tell me the sky is out of order now."
Yeah, that is cool.
That is a good phrase.
Don't forget to put your quarter in.
For music, music, music.
The ship's engineer was explaining that the malfunction which did exist has now been repaired. Prepare to beam aboard a representative of the Gideon Council.
Anyway.
I've trimmed down to sublight speed until we find out where we are.
He trimmed.
Kirk's finally playing with the ship, but he still doesn't realize it's not his ship. This is not by Kirk. Kirk would know. Kirk would know this is not his ship and that he's not really putting the ship out of sublight into sublight speed.
Well, you would think he would do that from the helm. I don't know why he did it from the
Engineering?
engineer station.
Like it controls the engines.
Well, really, every console and the bridge is tied into each other even when Lieutenant Uhura gets on that navigation, she can still communicate with her console.
Hmm. Yeah, but it would be more logical for him to actually go to the helm. I gotta agree with Pop there. It just would make more sense.
Power, that's no problem. It regenerates.
Someone tell Star Trek Voyager.
Please, don't tell me the sky is out of order now.
No, just the script.
If you put
Ease your feeling of dread.
And so this is the part where they're trying to make us buy into the romance of the episode.
Right.
I only know I'm happy.
Oh, go for it, Pop.
The romance is very forced and sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know every sound that this ship might make.
It does. Well, yeah, when he drops out of warp, he even realizes that it feels exactly the same as when they were at warp. So this is he knows that there was no change in how the ship feels, and yet he's not even, I don't know, he doesn't seem to be too worried to me.
Well, also, let's not forget that he does complain, like Jim complains not complains, but observes for most of the episode that he has a bruise or something going on with his arm.
Right, and he lost a few minutes.
9 minutes, not German, no. But, and I always, well, again, no pun intended, I'm injecting my own forgiveness into the episode and saying, well, then maybe he obviously must have been sedated by doctors that don't know what they're doing. They're going off of Starfleet records. This could be part of the process to subdue him.
I know every sound that this ship might make.
That was an accident. But
he is a prisoner. They may have drugged him.
Yes, and he lost all that time. And
maybe that's where his communicator went. Maybe when he was beamed down and he lost 9 minutes, they take his communicator and then they put him in the transporter room.
I would love that idea, but because I did think about it. But the only issue with it is that Spock never tries to call Captain Kirk on his communicator, so it's almost as if Spock knew that he didn't have his communicator either. So it had Spock used his communicator to try to contact Kirk, then I would agree with you.
He does use the ship's comms to do so. He does attempt to contact Kirk through the faux Enterprise communication system, and he does end up picking up life forms with his tricorder.
Oh, when he actually does get on in the ship.
Oh, Kronos is saying, seriously, with the pole. Where's the pole at?
Yeah,
seriously, with the pole.
Show me the pole. Oh, it's a tight race, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I just love how much people really love the original series that they still read this one so highly. Well, they probably like it like you do. So I'm glad there's at least one person on this panel who likes this episode.
I enjoy
or maybe
it.
two.
I think it's interesting.
Jim likes everything.
Well, my biggest complaint about this episode is that every time that there is an issue with Donna, it's back to the quarters. It's like, go to sickbay, Jim. You weirdo.
Oh hell! Just go to quarters and just.
Well, they don't have. They explain that later. They're like, oh well, we don't have any use for doctors, so we don't have any for you. Sorry, we were so awkward in maiming you.
Yes.
Did you kill him so you could have the ship to yourself?
Yeah. I'm not sure when that happens exactly. Yeah, because I don't think. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I think that was before she's got ill, where he starts picking her up and takes her to his quarters.
Oh, that's true. He starts saying, "What the hell is going on here? And you're the only person that I know around here who's different from the ship that I know." And then she's like, "Is this what it feels like to have the flu?"
Right. So she's never been in pain before, because apparently the power of regeneration has also made it so that they don't feel pain anymore. That's how immortal they are.
The Gideons
But
are
they never
Gallifreyan.
say the words immortal, or the fact that the blood will make them mortal again. This kind of thing is never really explained very well. But this was another thing that I was thinking back when they were having their little romance scene, is that Kirk would never just sit there and die alone on the Enterprise with a girl like that. That's just really weird. And he actually seems to be entertaining that notion.
I think he's trying to reassure. Like, one of the character traits that we've been covering about Jim Kirk since we started this is Jim maintains command by giving people something to do or reassuring that everything is going to be okay. And I think that's one of the things that he's doing with O'Donnell.
Oh, yeah? Is that all it is? Just like, they're there. Everything's fine. Well, we'll eat all the ship food.
Well, and he's trying to, persuade him. And he's trying to discover information from the only variable that's available.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Stephen Tracy. Apparently there's a Stephen Tracy.
A Stephen Tracy? Stephen Tracy where?
In the chat says, did you know that COVID-19 vaccines are actually mRNA chemical cocktail that has no relation? I can't keep going.
Yes, I did know that. It's not a vaccine. That's true.
It's not my place to be incendiary.
It's not incendiary. It's just a fact.
Is it science fact?
It is science fact.
Okay.
The only reason it's not is because they changed the dictionary. Changed the dictionary to match what they made, the gene experimentation. It's just whatever. I'm not into that right now.
Well, did you know that they banned all books by author Dean Koontz because it rhymes with something? I was very, very taken aback.
Really?
No, not really. Move on. I just wanted to say Koontz.
All right.
And we are grateful to you for her illness. I really like this actor.
We're grateful to you for her illness.
Good, Scotty. Very good.
I like that New England accent. I like this era of acting. I thought he had the gravitas. Also, there was a sadness to his... There was something about him. I thought he was great. I don't know what else he was in. I can click a link and see what happened with David Hurst. David Hurst, well...
Armed.
I'm sorry?
Men are armed, and Kirk does nothing to try to disarm or do anything. I don't know. It's compounding the idiocy of the episode, the writing. Those men aren't armed. He should have immediately grabbed that ambassador and used him as a device to get the truth. And the security guards are not armed. I don't know.
So you figure when confronted with someone that you didn't expect, and I'm asking this earnestly, did you expect Captain Kirk to punch the Gideon ambassador?
No, grabbed him, put him in a headlock. And
that's even better.
I'm not letting go until I find out the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I don't.
I mean, that makes sense.
The entire episode started with saying we are to make diplomatic relations with Gideon.
What diplomatic relations? You just been kidnapped and you're being told that you're going to be a guinea pig blood bank for the rest of your life.
Right.
So I think you've released all notion that you're worth being a diplomat with.
Right. He was just told that they had been lied to and manipulated. So all promises are off.
And that's how a Starfleet officer does it. Violence.
Yes. Well, it's not necessarily violence when you're trying
A
to
headlock
protect
is
yourself.
the definition of violence.
Just
It
for the sake
is.
of argument, right, Scotty?
Well, but I do think that there is a certain level of exploration that Jim
What-
would investigate. Same thing with, like, we've seen recently Spock and Scotty
It's the same.
attempts to penetrate shields with phaser fire, and McCoy's there like, yeah, shoot at him. And like, I think that this is an excellent example of 23rd century cowboy diplomacy. Obviously, this would go back to the Federation. This is going to go back to Starfleet. There were Starfleet regulations that were broken. Spock is very aware of this. I'm just saying that the progression of things, Kirk still wants to engage in the diplomatic relations with Gideon. Gideon has lied to the Federation by saying it's a paradise.
So his life is in danger, but it's okay to stay in danger instead of trying to get away out of it.
Guards and an old man with bushy eyebrows aren't going to cause no nevermind to Jim.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. So why does he want to stay aboard the ship? Is because you're saying he wants to do more diplomacy.
Well, I think he's looking to get out. There has to be a way out, he says. And yes, of course. Oh, pop culture curator. Everybody, Jill, Jim, chat.
Yo.
Of course, all of this is for the sake of argument. I'm just exploring the episode. I like it. And you guys, you're tepid.
Well, no, you make it sound a lot better than it actually is. You really do.
But I'm not trying to insult anybody. Like if I come off if I'm
No, you do have a point. You do have a point. And if you can do diplomacy, that's another thing that's a part of the next generation. That makes a lot of sense when we talk about it. But in the episode, it is so plotting that I wouldn't have minded a headlock.
Well, but it's funny that you say that, because this is like the same sort of idea as let this be your last battlefield, or that be your last. We know I don't know the episode title, but like this episode, I thought it was just Kirk and O'Donnell wandering around the Enterprise for like 45 minutes with nothing else going on except people yelling at each other. And I was pleasantly surprised that the plot. No, but like, let that be your last battlefield. That one, I was like, oh, it's just going to be 15 minutes of Frank Gorshin running down the corridors. And I was like, that felt that way. This actually, I was pleasantly surprised, because there's a little bit more, I don't know, maybe it's more heady for me, just in terms of what do we do about overpopulation with a species that can't die and refuses to engage in contraception of any sort.
Right. That's it's an interesting kind of notion of having to deal with that sort of dilemma. And so it's a bit of a dilemma, except that they portray it in such a really exceptionally farcical way. Like, it would make sense to me if they were talking about the loss of resources, like in Soylent Green having to feed people to each other, or the loss of energy, not being able to give people enough energy or power. But the fact that it's just they're stuck next to each other, how does the society even function that way? It doesn't really make much sense to me. And so that kind of incongruity makes the actual attempt at going towards the message just fall apart for me.
Oh, for sure. And even then, like, how did the Federation get in touch with the Gideons? Is it because they found a book in their hotel drawer?
I don't know. They never said.
No, they didn't. Yeah, they really didn't say. They were just like, oh, well, they want to be part of the Federation, even though they're isolationists.
Yeah.
So let's hang out.
You may not scan our planet. You may not visit.
You may not learn anything about us, but you can send your captain to us. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
It'll be great.
There's your action.
Finally.
You guys walk into this. Star Trek is not a UFC match.
No,
You
I
know.
know. That's not what I'm looking for in Star Trek either. I am happy in a Star Trek episode with no violence when something profound and interesting occurs. There's just nothing profound and interesting in this episode.
I think that the ideas here are worth exploring, and I think that the
Oh,
character
yeah. Well, the
interactions are
subject matter is extremely interesting. I love the idea of exploring overpopulation. That's something you don't see that often in science fiction. So I enjoy the idea of it occurring.
If you only had a phaser.
Yeah, right. No phaser, no communicator. All the normal, no tricorder, all the normal tools.
So did I miss something? Did they never scan the planet? Oh,
No, they
No,
can't.
they
They're not
can't.
allowed.
They can't scan the planet. It's not allowed.
Sorry, phone call.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is it just not allowed or just physically incapable? Do they block it somehow?
It would be a diplomatic incident.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it? It's just trust us.
Mm-hmm.
No, not allowed.
As a Federation representative, even McCoy says, like, why don't we just do it? And it's like, because he's like, we're not diplomats. Why don't we just do it? And Spock is like, we are envoys of the United Federation of Planets. We have a job. We cannot violate that job. And ultimately, it comes down to Spock's decision to say, then I will take responsibility solely to ensure the safety of Captain Kirk.
Yes, and this is it.
But Starfleet cannot override Federation directives in this matter.
We wish only to save the life of the captain. That the captain has been taken prisoner. If he is being held at the same place to which we transported him. We cannot establish that without on-the-spot investigation.
Do you have evidence the captain's life is threatened?
Yes, he's been kidnapped.
Permission denied.
Kidnapped.
Yeah? Being told that you're going to be transported to one location, being transported to another location, and you said yourself he's a prisoner, that's kidnapping.
That is kidnapping, but as we have seen in this episode, just because, like, indefinite incarceration is what the Gideons want.
Yes, correct.
There is no evidence of immediate harm to Captain Kirk. We just don't know where
the
he
harm
is.
Him not being able to be where he wants to be. That is harm.
Yes, that is harm. You're right. You're absolutely correct.
I am right. Also, Spock shows up on the ship and he just does the same things. Like he just reveals everything that that Kirk already revealed. So we have to see Spock do all the same things Kirk did, except Spock does it faster.
Well, but I was interested in this scene specifically because Spock beams down after the subterfuge has been discovered by Kirk, and they take him to the High Council chambers, which I thought was like a neat little point of direction in terms of like the upwards shot of both Horton and Kirk, and then the background with the green faced people. Like, I thought that this was really interesting visually while they're having their discussion as to the nature of the people of Gideon. And so it explains why Kirk is not in the upstate New York recreation of the Enterprise, which I think everyone should go to. I'm looking forward to doing it. In fact, when I get there, I'm going to say, so this is where the Gideons made the Enterprise, huh?
Yep.
Man.
It's weird to call them the Gideons once I know that the Bibbles in the hotels is made of the Gideons, made by the Gideons. Are you familiar with the Gideon Bible?
I have not perused it yet, but word is that Gideon was once a paradise.
The planet Gideon, yeah. No, but in hotel rooms, you will usually find the Gideon's Bible.
Oh no, I don't see Bibles in any hotel rooms anymore. I always look. I don't anymore. But I have
anymore.
I don't.
But you're familiar with what I'm speaking of.
Yeah, they phased them out. They don't have them anymore.
Cool.
Yeah, no, when I was a kid, I always looked for a book, and there was always that book. And then now they're just not there. But I do need to check out the chat. I've got 200 chats. What the heck happened? Let's see.
We left off on Captain Tracy.
Captain Tracy.
Stephen Tracy. Giving us science facts.
All right. Well, I'm not quite sure of that. Everyone has less hair than me, says Kronos.
Interesting.
Wow.
I would offer some, but I need mine.
Yeah. I'm not touching that.
I don't even know why I read that chat.
My hair is very soft. You can touch it whenever you want.
Or why it's relevant to this episode.
I don't know.
Hello. Hey, folks. If you're watching in the future, please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you want an easy, free way to help Anti-Derivative Jill grow this channel. Her family will starve if we don't. That's a bit of an exaggeration.
Spidey.
That might be a bit of an exaggeration, Canadian Spider-Man, but I do appreciate any support, and it does encourage me to continue what I'm doing if my channel is growing. I'm only watching in the present, says Cronus. Well, thank you for watching. Yes, thank you to everybody watching in the present also.
Yep. And your channel is growing slowly, just like everybody else's.
Normally.
Yep.
Captain, I'm...
Uhura, you're the only one who can do it. I'll be right there.
Yes, sir.
Ariba Vel says that's what diplomats do. Talk endlessly with no hope of understanding.
I don't understand.
Naturally.
Yeah. I've communicated with someone in which no hope of understanding never occurs, and
I have apologized on many occasions.
It doesn't stop
work.
Trying. It doesn't work, but I don't know why I keep trying. LD Lewis says, "Is it too late to change my grade from C to D?" Yes, It's too late. But if you feel a C, then it's probably a C for you. Because if it's a C for you, then you might see what Scotty sees in it.
DC Senior.
Edge of Time says, I think it's rude when they invite me to the Love Shack and then spend all my jukebox money. They invited me.
I've been there. In that situation, not to the actual Love Shack. I mean the situation. They invited me to the Love Shack. They took all my jukebox money.
Damn it.
Odana died once she was 5 and her dad made her walk it off.
Hey, Tiger Stripes.
Because she's immortal. Yeah, hello, Tiger Stripes. That's why I'm seriously with the poll.
Oh, I should go check and see how the poll is doing.
Do you think eating paint chips is underrated?
No.
Is what whoever wrote this.
Must die.
I would have clicked that link if I heard that clip.
Hey,
I'm checking the...
I just want to say hello to the Comic Relief Crusader. That's really great to see you.
Hey,
he says hi, and I'm thinking of you all.
Cool. We got 30 votes. We got 26 likes. So if you have not yet liked, please give that a consideration. And so far, we got A's at 30%, B's at 37%, C's at 20%, and D's to F at 13%. It's a neck and neck race, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone can win. All you have to do is like and vote.
And people in this forum are backing vaccines that are not vaccines. Well, you just contradicted your own statement, calling them vaccines when they are not vaccines. No, but I agree, Stephen Tracy. But this isn't primarily a political channel.
Yeah,
although I agree with you, it's not. It's definitely not promoting them.
I thought I was pushing the envelope when I was talking about different diseases that were intergalactic. So I don't even want to say it again because I already did.
No, Scotty. Yeah, no, and then I'm gonna get this little disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly.
under my video.
Oh,
That's
Donna
what
did
you-
not have the space STD.
That's what you get for thinking, Scotty.
Oh,
I don't usually.
you guys
Don't
didn't
you?
realize Stephen Tracy is totally trolling the chat. He's kind
Yeah,
of
but he's doing a good job at it, so I'm okay with it.
he said the same thing twice, 3 times,
A lady.
4 times, 5 times. Okay, Stephen Tracy, this is your official warning. Please stop talking about that particular illness. Although it is funny how that is kind of relevant to this episode.
Yeah.
Because some people say it is a form of population control. But that's thank you, Stephen Tracy. But also, please stop.
Don't worry about it. The Gideons will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they will.
I do appreciate Ari saying Scotty things. That's why Scotty says Scotty things.
Scotty do.
Scotty do.
Scotty see, Scotty do.
Doo-doo is more appropriate. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Tiger Stripes. Tiger Stripes says it's too late. I timed him out for 5 minutes, but I'm sure he'll be back in 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, thank you so much, Tiger Stripes. You're such an immense help to the channel, and I appreciate your work there. Good work. And if you are listening, Stephen Tracy, waiting for your chance to continue your discussion, please redirect your discussion to the Star Trek episode.
Well, direct it specifically
or to somebody else's chat. Like you can chat with other people about fun stuff.
The meningococcal gingivitis.
Oh man.
The vegan hepatitis. What's the name of the disease? You have the clip.
I do have the clip, but I'm looking at the chat right now.
You do the chat. I'll find the disease.
Yeah, I'm just checking out the chat. What did you say?
I said meningococcal gingivitis.
Okay. Okay, so it's
She has vegan choriomeningitis.
Yep.
Really did throw us off track.
I like that your
Yes.
title for that clip is called Vegan Something.
I
don't know where you get it, but it's probably
you
from
should read a
vegans.
lot of those clips are not what the clip says. It's my response to the clips because I was kind of getting angry at the dialogue. Mr.
Oh, I
Miles
forgot.
says, why didn't they colonize new planets for more space? I'm no expert, but space is pretty vast.
Mr.
Yes,
Miles has a
Mr.
point.
Miles. That's a great point.
But they're
Paula
xenophobic.
and Block said it too. They're xenophobic, but they can find an uninhabited world.
They abhor war. They value life. They don't want to defend another planet.
Okay. So
Oh, it's a bad plan.
yeah,
I'm not
but
saying
they're going to
dumb.
be
I'm
they're,
saying
they're going to be part of the Federation, so they'll be protected.
I'm telling you, they have no desire to be a part of the Federation. All they want is Jim's blood.
All they had to do was be honest, tell the Federation what was going on, say we need help, we're overpopulated. Federation would have said, sure, we'll help you find a new home.
Exactly.
But Jim Kirk does that. He says we can do what's it called? Sterilizations, contraception.
Right, but I'm saying instead of building a mock of the Enterprise and expecting everyone to believe it, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying
we
that
wouldn't have had an episode then.
Yeah, right. We wouldn't have an episode if they did the thing they should have done. So this shouldn't be an episode. They should have.
Oh my god!
If they want to cover overpopulation, there was another way to do it, and it wasn't this way. This was way over convoluted for something so simple.
Well, you seem to be involved in the ideals of the Prime Directive, and I think that if you are going to address this species and this culture, you should, at the very least, Mr. Spock, have the courtesy to understand what we are going through.
Wouldn't you think the kidnapping a starship? Wouldn't you think the kidnapping a starship captain should be an act of war?
Yes. Well, it could be. It's definitely aggressive.
So, what do you want to do? How would you rectify this?
No, it's not that. It's back to they act like there's no repercussions.
Well, the question is. No, but we've gone through the diplomatic corps. We've gone through Starfleet. We've gone through Admiral, MacGyver. what they've all said, this is the policy of the Federation. We are not going to interject our beliefs or judgments on Gideon.
It's the policy of the Federation based on a bunch of lies spewed by the Gideons.
Right. And so does that not further more diplomacy? As opposed to, like, what is your solution?
I would think Starfleet at a minimum would be upset that they were lied to, manipulated, and one of their captains kidnapped.
Right. So they can't trust.
But they didn't seem to be. On-screen evidence is representative that they're not.
No, but you think that Captain Kirk would have been upset?
Well, Spock is upset, as is the rest of the crew of the
Spock
Enterprise.
Is upset. Spock is visibly upset.
Yeah,
like part of the aspect of this episode is the hindrances of diplomacy, and like they never say Prime Directive, but kind of there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I just don't know. And I'm not trying to be adversarial with you, Pop, but what do you think the solution would be?
No, I didn't think you were being adversarial. I'm just saying that Kirk should have been upset at least and say there will be consequences for this. It shouldn't have been on a happy note.
Yeah.
What do you think that the conclusion, what would your Starfleet conclusion have been?
Mine would have been to leave them to their own problems. Say, well, we would have helped you if you had been honest in the first place, but considering how you handled it and the deceit to a Starfleet, to Starfleet, and kidnapping of a captain of a Starfleet vessel, we're going to leave you to your own devices.
And they did. That is what happened in the episode.
But I'm saying I would have even been more harsh than that, but I don't know. I'm not going to try to wrap my mind around a bad episode.
It's just, we don't even know.
Make logic where there is no logic.
Right. I just wish I knew about the Gideons so that I cared about them more. Like, are they pre-warp?
Yeah,
like if they're pre-warp, then they would. If they're pre-warp, then they wouldn't be considered members of the Federation. But is that a rule that comes later in TNG, or is that?
Yep. You have to be pre-warp. Yep, you do.
It's just a strange situation.
Not pre-warp.
I want to wrap my head around the Gideon's perspective. That's my. I find Colonel Sanders here to be a little frustrating. I understand his motivations, but to abandon a civilization in the if you want to be on your own and not deal with anything and only be given the gift of death, then have at it. And that's what this episode does. I don't understand how they got in touch with the Gideons in the first place. Doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And because you can't scan them, and how did they defend themselves? They can't.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of this doesn't make sense, but the base of the idea I find is interesting.
Well, but that's an assumption on your part, though. But I guess you have to assume.
Everything is an assumption on everyone's part as the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think that there's a lot of evidence that is presented throughout this episode that people may be just like, yeah, it's kind of plotting. I agree with you. It's plotting. I do understand that this is a 60s television show that could, and I don't want to take it out of universe. In universe, Kirk is a go to action kind of guy. Absolutely. No argument. But when you think about like the ideas as to where the Enterprise fits in the Federation, their role as diplomats, how they're going to conduct themselves, I think that this is an intriguing episode. A little slow, but I think it's better than Ellen and Troy is. Oh, you have a dilithium necklace? No. It's solved.
Yep, it's quite confusing.
I'm pretty sure I didn't dislike that episode as much as I dislike this one.
And Edge of Time, I just want to say something really quickly. Edge of Time says, I'm a carbon-based life form. Now, when I first read this, I thought it said a Caribbean-based life form. So I read it. I'm a Caribbean-based life form. Am I the Caribbean the Green Party wants to eliminate? Caribbean haters. Actually, that makes it much more prejudice. I'm sorry. Carbon worked better. Edge of Time, you were right the first time. I'm sorry for rewriting.
Damn writers.
Maybe I was just feeling more magnanimous that day. Edge of Time says cows just eat plants and farts, kind of like vegans. Oh,
do you have the vegan meningitis? Is that
I don't necessarily agree with. I don't really know if that's true.
Oh.
For the UFP to engage in population control on a single planet, they have to play favorites.
I don't know if they have to play special or racial favorites. It's just very interesting to, like, this is something that this ambassador did not subscribe to. He was not going to kill his own people. In fact, when the description of what pain feels like, she says, it's how you feel when you see the helplessness of the situation and you can't do anything to assist it. That's what it feels like. And I'm like, well, that's not a very good description. It's more explaining your character motivations
it was terrible
to the audience.
It was terrible. I think I have that clip, and I'm like, the way I title it is this. What the fuck?
This is the dumbest chick to ever live.
What the what?
You listening, Gorilla? You get your lottery ticket now.
Yeah. Lottery time, man.
No, but this is going to be an issue for the rest of the season. Is that these episodes are going to lead me to that accidentally doing that.
Permission denied.
Exactly.
Your body temperature will be very great. What is it like to feel pain?
And so I titled this next one, WTF does this mean?
Like when you see the people have no hope for happiness, Father.
Well,
I get that she's trying to bring in the feelings of the entire population. They have no hope because they're shoulder to shoulder and they can't breathe. But it doesn't make any sense in that context of describing what pain is. It's just a way to say.
It's very hammy. When he says, what's it feel like? All she had to do is slap him and say, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, don't they ever stub their toe? I guess it doesn't hurt.
Right.
They're too crowded. They can't smooth.
Mm-hmm.
She has vegan choreo meningitis.
Yep.
All right, so I'm checking out the rest of the chat here. I'm a carbon-based life form. Am I the carbon the Green Party wants to eliminate? Carbon haters. Are y'all familiar with the Stargate episode about the aliens who gave the Earth medicines, which slowed the birth rate? Time travel episode. So much better than Gideon. Time travel episode. Medicines. I love Stargate SG-1, but I need more clues to understand what episode this is. Time travel, aliens, medicine. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember. Right. And the medicine ended up sterilizing was actually a trick. It was supposed to help them. It was supposed to help the humans, but it was just a trick to get them to stop procreating. So it was a sterilization.
Yeah. Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been done here.
That's how you bring up that issue in a sci-fi way.
Right, tell them it's for their own good, right?
Yeah, right. Because they were exchanging not just medicine, but also technology in terms of better agricultural stuff and things. Don't worry about this, though. That was a good episode. That was much better than this. If they're lying, they can fool the Federation computers. Says James Caserta. Also, hello to James Caserta. Great to see you here.
Hello there.
And Kronos, who keeps letting you in here? Me. I do. I keep letting him in here. So, Ariba Bell says current world population 8.09 billion and counting. Sorry if that was mentioned already. I was in the other room making coffee. No, I hadn't. I was going to look that up and add that in my notes, but I hadn't done it. So thank you so much, Aribavel, for providing that fact. Classic comics, because it's really a real issue that we should be concerned with. Interesting how Jurassic Diplomat Spock is. Yes, I read that one. And Tiger Stripes. I'm so glad you're here, Tiger Stripes. She says, did y'all note that Stanley Adams co-wrote this episode? We did. And that he was just satisfied with the ending, as was I. Yes. Yes, we did. Can you imagine if we were told instead of taking experimental gene therapy to inject alien blood? Yeah. Or to give your blood, or yeah, because they've got to turn their immortal people mortal again. But I like the original story where it was like the ruling class were saying, we're going to keep being immortal. Only you guys have to be immortal. And so there was actually some kind of interesting dilemma and an interesting drama that was completely erased from this episode for some reason. And the Reluctant Dragon's also here. Hello. Tommy Jones tells a nice story. Finding a Gideon Bible in a hotel room. He felt guilty about stealing it, but found out later that it was meant for people to take them.
Yes.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Like, if you want the Bible, you can take it. I never knew that. Actually, I did go to a bookstore one time where they gave me a free Bible. I was just buying other books, and they're just like, here. Lemon Pie. Hey, Lemon Pie.
Hey, Lemon.
And
Hello, Lemon. Hope you're doing well.
All they needed was $1.75 and a bicycle to access infinite adventures. Perhaps this is why in TNG we see them resettling entire populations. Yes. Yeah, that could be inspired from this episode too, of what they should have done. I do see some of the season 3 stuff being improved in TNG. James Caserta, Kronos, who keeps letting me here? Okay, that's where I was.
Unfortunately, I must violate a direct order from Starfleet.
Hooray.
However, Command knows that Ambassador Hope...
Let's uncheck that one.
...has not been totally honest with us. Mr. Scott, you have the con. Doctor, I cannot accept the responsibility for ordering a fellow officer to violate a Starfleet directive.
They tried to have a character moment there, but it was fine. I have no argument. It just wasn't that gripping.
This will not take long.
Isn't that just about what Captain Kirk said before he left?
How does he know that? He wasn't in the transporter room when that happened. I guess maybe he was eavesdropping in on the transporter room.
Those game writers.
Yeah. Yeah, Scotty shouldn't know that particular line was said earlier.
Correct.
Your report to the Federation was a tissue of lies. That would make Gideon a paradise.
Yeah, you can tell
And so it was.
You can tell what?
You can tell they were bored when they shot this. See, under the table, I think the cameraman was passed out on the floor.
I'm doing my best not to sound like I'm bored right now.
The atmosphere on Gideon has always been germ-free. Their physical and spiritual perfection. Eventually, even the lifespan increased. Death became almost unknown to us.
Why do I have so many clips?
It occurred only when the body could no longer regenerate itself. The birth rate continued to rise, and the population grew
So the logical course of action is
to sterilize men and women.
Every organ renews itself. It would be impossible.
So it's impossible to physically do it, but there are devices.
About the devices to safely prevent conception.
No, but life is sacred, so we can't use that. But we're totally okay with killing each other.
Right, I think this is their way, because we've seen where Star Trek has dealt with touchy issues in the past, where they bury it within the plot.
Right.
And I think that this is their issue of certain religions that don't believe in contraception.
Mm-hmm. What are they trying to do exactly? It's to not. Oh, okay, to cover themselves up. To make.
Life, in every form, from fetus to developed being.
It is interesting that Star Trek goes there. I didn't realize they went there. So that's something that even today would be a thing that isn't a subject that a TV show usually likes to talk about. So I think it's cool that they tried.
Yet you can kill a young girl.
Yes. she's
My daughter freely chose to do what she is doing. My daughter hoped to make you feel the agony of Gideon.
So no better way to feel the agony of Gideon than to put Kirk into a completely empty starship.
You will stay. Your blood will provide it.
That I would give up my freedom.
She hoped you would love her and wish to stay.
I am speaking to you from the bridge of the Enterprise.
An Enterprise. You should have said an.
Exact duplicate of the Enterprise. Gideon is in orbit, and the ship is on Gideon.
I thought that was a cute line. That was definitely a Spock line. Yeah, technically I'm in orbit, just because this planet is in orbit around its sun.
To so confuse his mind.
Her death is unnecessary.
The dogs agree.
And I agree too.
The serum in their new blood will change Gideon.
Only you allow me. I can cure you.
They want to cull their people, but only if they want to. So we're just hoping people volunteer to die.
I wish with all my heart to stay with you forever.
At least you owe me the privilege of letting me look at you.
I can take your place there.
Yes, you can.
I could wish for it to hold one more person.
Nah, he's going to stay on the Enterprise. The end. Yep. The real Enterprise this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gideon is turning into what they call a living mass, and they're not going to have any more room anymore. So they need to introduce terminal illnesses. I guess inflicted upon only voluntary subjects. So people are going to choose. Enough people are going to choose to kill themselves, and this is going to be part of their culture.
Not kill themselves. They have no desire to die. They have an exaltation for life. But if it is not their choice, that is something that the Gideons have forgot.
Well, I guess it's not going to be their choice if this becomes an airborne pathogen. That would make sense. But it seems more like this is a blood pathogen. So you have to get it injected into you. And therefore, it is a choice. It is suicide booths. And people being voluntarily jumping into them. And they didn't say anything about doing lottery system like in Taste of Armageddon, but it really feels just like that.
Well, it wasn't a lottery system in Taste of Armageddon. It was based on geographic location.
It was a lottery. It was based on whatever the computer. It was a computer game, and the computer decided who died. You died in this conflict, so you must die for real.
Right, but if I'm living in, in Alberta and there's a nuclear strike in Spain, the computer isn't going to select me as a lottery based on global fallout. It's based on geographic location.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but it just seems like a real extreme way to solve these issues. I don't know.
PvP is here. PvP with a request in the chat.
If they naturally wanted to become mortal again and susceptible to illnesses, then they should have just stopped being xenophobes and let more people than just the Enterprise, just like invite tourists to come over and spread some things.
Spread some things, huh? Alrighty,
that's exactly what she said. Thank you.
I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with a better solution than making everybody.
It's so interesting, and
because I understand
no shade, but people do, like, when you are confronted with a story that you find substandard or you disagree with the elements of it, with the advantages that we have, it's like, well, I would have done this, or this is an idea that would have been more interesting or more logical to resolve this particular story. You're judging it based on what you want to happen as opposed to the story that was presented to you. And this is also the same thing that happened with the writer of the episode. It's like we presented something and they decided to change it so that it would be more acceptable. But again, it was still very controversial in terms of subject matter for the era that it was broadcast.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I just think that would be a much simpler solution than building an exact duplicate of the Enterprise.
Everyone gets hung up on the Enterprise thing.
Can't they just kidnap him? Why should they have to have a duplicate Enterprise? I just don't understand the purpose.
He's worse than dead, Spock. He's got the meningital cocolvitis.
I guess one of the draft scripts said that the purpose was to make him feel comfortable. Like nothing more comfortable than a ship without your crew in it.
PvP did have a question. He said he got an early lunch break.
Well, that's great. Question.
He was curious if he could jump up.
Oh.
Curiosity to kill the cat.
Yeah,
we're working on it.
Send him a link for me, please. Scotty or 37.
What do you need me to do?
Can you send him a link to the StreamYard?
Sure, absolutely. StreamYard. Do you want me to do it? Hey, PvP, I'm going to throw it in the Twitter.
And then Twitter, twat.
I don't.
Okay, but not only
Discord.
Not only do I not understand how they could build an Enterprise with no information, with no connection really to the Federation yet before this point, but how do they know about Kirk's medical history? They just, collect everybody's medical history.
Ambassador.
Yeah, the ambassador. Yeah, please, Jim. You know.
Well, but if they're going through all that trouble, they could just say, hey, Ambassador, not only can we have his medical records, but can we have some of his blood?
Well, how about shouldn't they have a sample of that virus? I mean, we keep a sample of everything.
Oh, you're right. They don't even need the Enterprise.
Right.
Well, they don't have any doctors. They don't have doctors.
Well, the Federation does. That would be the diplomacy of this episode.
But the diplomacy of this episode is unfolding in real time as we watch the episode. The only people who have complete information, the only person who has complete information is Kirk.
Well, okay. PvP is joining us just as we're starting the reviews for the end of this episode. This episode's over. The slides are still going, but I'm done with it.
Okay.
I want Scotty R37 to give us his review of this episode and what he grades it. And yes, first we'll say hello to Pleasant Valley Picker. Not very often you can join us on this show.
Yeah, I think.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Usually
Would you like to?
Usually I would work my short shift yesterday, but yesterday was a holiday here, so I'm working my short day today, which means I take my lunch an hour earlier. So it makes a big difference, of course. I don't think I've ever been on your Tuesday Star Trek before, have I? I don't remember.
No,
of course you have. Yes, you have.
He has.
I'm usually working.
I don't think so.
I don't think I have.
He's never been here, but he is here now. So you're right, Scotty. We should. PvP, can you tell us what grade you give this episode and your overall perception of it?
Sure. I was never a big fan of this episode, so I gave it a C minus. It's not as bad as a handful of other episodes, which I think are really awful. This one is. I give it a little bit of credit for bringing up the subject of overpopulation. And the problems that might bring. So I give them credit for that. So the writer was trying to give us some kind of interesting message, definitely, but I just found the episode kind of muddled. I found the whole concept of, wall-to-wall people covering an entire planet just so kind of silly. It's like, okay, how are these people going to actually function? How could you have an actual life when you can barely move? Like, there are certain things people need to do every day that might require a bit of privacy once in a while. So I just found that kind of really quite silly. And I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a muddled episode. It was just, I don't know. It was like good intentions, but the execution was poor. I guess that's what I'm saying.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Very
You're
good.
welcome. You're welcome.
And Jim?
Oh, I agree with PvP. I mean, he took the words out of my mouth. But of course, I gave it an A, and everybody's going to throw eggs at me. But hey, it's a classic Star Trek. It's the original series.
No, I wouldn't throw any eggs at you unless you want a hard-boiled egg.
Oh, thanks.
Catch.
But I kind of feel that, yeah, Kirk should have had his phaser one and communicator no matter what going down to the planet. He should have did a little bit more, asked the computer what's, if there's anybody aboard, stuff like that. He should have been more of a captain in this episode. That's how I feel about it.
Absolutely agreed.
Yep.
And so, pop culture curator, what do you think about this one?
I'd give it a C. Pretty much a lot of things what you guys said, without having to repeat it. But I think it's their way of commenting on certain religions that disagree with contraception. But I give it a C. So it's not a lot to say.
Yeah.
I think it was unfortunately a very weak episode and a lot of plot holes. And I'm not trying to insult Lost in Space, but I mean, it had so many plot holes. Almost remind me of a Lost in Space episode. So much inconsistencies that I don't know. But it was okay.
No, I
it's still Star Trek and it's TOS. So
right. It is.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, of course, you're welcome. Yeah, no, I did think about that too, but I may not be so kind.
Oh.
Scotty R37.
I give it an A minus.
What you think?
I think that this episode is has with most of the episodes that I haven't seen in a long time, and this is one of them because I agreed with you absolutely until I saw it again this morning. And I was watching it and I was like, there are ideas in here, not just with the overpopulation, but the nature of Starfleet, how diplomacy works, what are the procedures when it comes to what is the difference between Starfleet and the Federation? What do you do? And you still, I'm absolutely in awe of Spock in terms of the methodical nature in which he tries to solve the problem while not violating the diplomatic edict that has been set out before him by Starfleet, or pardon me, by the Federation. In fact, it's interesting that a lot of the frustration is like, but we're Starfleet. And it's like, yes, but we are here on the behest of the United Federation of Planets. So, like, there's a lot of world building going on. I enjoy the frustration that is happening with the bridge crew because they're like, come on, this guy is obviously sandbagging us. And Spock is like, yeah, but what do you want to do? Punch him in the face? And so the nature of logically solving it, and then finally coming to a point when Spock says, you know what, I am going to break, I'm going to disobey a direct order. And this is just how we solve this problem. And I believe it was Franco. This is the beginning of the burgeoning nature of my Saylat, the burgeoning nature of Spock's diplomacy. I think it's interesting, both for the social commentary that it tries to present, and you guys have been incredible in terms of saying it's kind of a weak sauce explanation of it. That's fine. It strikes with me. It's like horsey sauce from Arby's. It's not horseradish, but it is mayonnaise mixed with horseradish. And I enjoyed it more than I have in the past. I thought it was a creepy episode. I thought it was an interesting episode. And so, yeah, A-, no reservations. Supporting cast, fantastic. Hot Canadian lady, always a bonus. I think that this is, I'm okay with an A-.
Oh, thank you.
We are representatives of the Federation, Doctor.
Absolutely.
I think that's the only value this episode has. But I struggled to put it above the alternative factor, and you did help me see some of the value in it in terms of that. And I saw it myself. I saw this is where it goes. This is where TNG sees this, and they develop it further. But the episode itself, I don't really like it. I give this episode a D-, and it comes really close to the alternative factor to me in terms of dislike. It's the same rating that I give the Empath. This episode tried at least the Empath. I don't know, even the Empath might even be better. I kind of want to put it in an F, but the Empath even tried to have character moments. It tried to say something about compassion, and it failed. And this one tries to say something about overpopulation, and it fails. And I don't know. It's really okay. So I guess it's about the same as the Empath. So I'll give it a D-.
The Empath was better than the alternative factor. Let's not forget.
Yeah, no, I still give the alternative factor.
Oh, I've angered.
At least with the alternative factor, we get some location shooting.
That's true. We do get Vasquez rocks. We get a spaceship. Right. We get to go on the planet. Okay, you're just making me give this episode an F. So this episode has an F. I failed to see the merit, as it doesn't even achieve its goal of making us see the terrible issue of overpopulation, because it doesn't really take it very seriously, portraying it in a very absurdist way. When I watch Star Trek, one very important aspect is, the absurdist being standing shoulder to shoulder. PvP explained it a little more clearly in terms of it being absolutely bonkers that anybody could even function at all that in that way. When I watch Star Trek, what I want is a story that's immersive, and I want the cast who are in character. And so the acting is great. I do like the guest actors and everything, but the characterization is a bit off. It's very clear that whomever is writing these episodes, they're told who these characters are, but they don't really understand them.
No, I disagree with you.
And so I think it suffers both in storytelling and characterization. Seeing the immense annoyance, irritability in Spock would fit any other character, but I don't know. It doesn't. Leonard Nimoy does a good job, but I think he was told to overplay it, and he did, and I didn't think he needed to. Seeing the crew going on a verbal rampage against a diplomat while he's still in communications and listening, he absolutely heard everything they were saying.
Definitely.
Yes, it was appalling. And it was a thing that the crew would never do. So that's another way that the people were out of character. The other thing is that when Kirk woos a lady, it's to save the ship. But what is he really doing here? What is the motivation? Was he just resigning himself to live on the ship forever with this lady? Because at this point, he still doesn't know where his crew is. He's not trying to investigate her for information. He seriously thinks that his crew is gone. He doesn't know where his crew is. And so he's just like, okay.
Right.
The only argument that Scotty gave me that made any sense was that he's comforting
I had
her.
several arguments that made a lot of sense.
The best one that you had was that Kirk is just comforting her.
Right. He gives up too easily.
Mm-hmm. He does. It felt that way.
Of that.
Usually this kind of thing is showed to be some kind of ruse or some plot to save the crew or something cool like that. Like in Gamesters, like I said earlier. None of that is here, and the science fiction aspects aren't very well portrayed either. There not only is there
you
no
are
reason
high and on glue.
There's no reason to recreate the Enterprise, and there's no reason to kidnap Kirk.
Well, the Gideons disagree.
Well,
They
it's
want
not
his
only
blood,
reason,
I get
but
it.
it's not only no reason, but physically impossible to recreate the entire Enterprise at even full Captain Kirk. I mean,
have you ever?
Who wants you to believe that?
I agree completely. There's no way.
Ugh.
The only person who could do this would be Scotty himself. Who could?
Yes, I could do it. I will do it.
I did mean the Montgomery variety, but
my mistake.
You know, I agree with everything Jill's saying here. I think she summed it up very well just now. And the one word that sticks out in my mind of what she just talked about in her review is absurdist. It's an absurd concept that you could pack all these people onto a planet and there's any way that they could function. I mean, it is ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
And that's what kills the episode for me, quite frankly, guys.
yeah, it really does help. It really would help if it was a more believable kind of methodology of portraying overpopulation instead of being that crude about it. It's kind of more beating you overhead with the sledgehammer kind of thing.
Oh yeah, very much.
They could just ask for some infected blood or help, or like Kirk said, there's devices to help restrain the growth of the population rather than having volunteers decide to kill each other. I mean, I know you're saying it's not self-deletion, but it is for me.
One of the interesting things that that is discussed is the nature of the Gideon reverence for life. And they say from fetus to elderly. And it is something that, like, Kirk is here advocating for abortion.
That life is sacred. Life in every form, from fetus to developed being.
And yet you can kill a young girl.
But she's not being murdered. She is introducing a new biological. Let's not forget, the Gideons are so afraid of infection, that be cultural infection, that, like, that's, I understand if you're saying that is uncharacteristic about the Gideon people. I understand where you're coming from, but even Kirk says you would kill your own daughter. You're a monster. And the ambassador says, we are desperate. I thought that it was a beautiful imagery that Donna says. And it's like no beach, no mountain. And my mind went to people just endlessly wandering up and down Everest, hoping to find somewhere on the planet where I could just have a quiet thought alone and not have to tussle. You see the people outside of the display, like the viewports, and they're just, those look like New York sidewalks all the time, which is maybe, well, it may be, and something that informs the story itself. It's like when you're trying to get to work and you're walking and it's just like, oh, there's too many people on the sidewalk. That is what is being presented, which I think is an idea that is alien, foreign, something that is out of the norm for someone who lives in, say, I don't know, Wichita. It's like, it is, sometimes science fiction is something that happens on Earth. Like if you don't live in Bangladesh or Delhi, it's like you don't know what this kind of crowding is. And to express it to an American audience, I think, is an incredible science fiction concept.
So how
especially
well
when
was
you
it?
bring on disease.
How well was it portrayed by just? You don't really feel like you're on the planet. It's just some green people in a view screen.
But that's
I don't really
terror. That's what the terror is that shows up when O'Donnell sees it again. And it's like, oh, they're there. They're back. I just want to be alone. And like, I think that the chemistry between Kirk and O'Donnell is absolutely, I get it. It doesn't spark. But her idea, or when she's explaining, I just want to be alone. I just want to have a space to myself. I think that she expresses that discomfort and scaredness very well.
I like the ideas that you're presenting, and I wish that I felt that while I was watching this episode.
So that's an interesting thing when we're talking about Star Trek, is that if it isn't something that you see, then, it just didn't connect with you.
Well, it didn't connect with me, but also I don't see how it's not necessarily, it's voluntary self-deletion. And you don't see it that way, and I don't understand how you don't. Because I know
I'm an
that
idiot, Jill.
I know
I'm
that
a babbling idiot.
I know that their solution to this overpopulation is to introduce terminal illnesses among a voluntary population of the planet.
I think that all the things Scotty's talking about are kind of more in his mind than actually what's in the episode.
Well,
at least from my viewpoint.
Exactly. And what's in Scotty
saying,
R37's mind is way more interesting than what's happening in this episode. Scotty makes it sound like an A- episode.
Oh, he does. He does a very good job of making it sound like an NA
and
episode.
But for me, if I were a Gideonite or whatever they are, they could just ask for some inflected blood, not just Kirk's, but the whole crew. Anybody who's had an illness, like you don't have to just have fatal illnesses. Just like let's introduce a whole bunch of them and see what happens.
Oh, what did McCoy
like if
have?
that's the way that's what they want, let them have it.
What did McCoy have on O'Donnell in The World Is Hollow and I Can Touch the Sky? Didn't he have like the gout or something?
He had terminal illness.
Yeah. So why didn't they steal? Like if you want to pursue these things,
good idea.
there are plenty of things that we can just. All right, we'll send a case of deadly diseases. Here you go.
Right. And so so they could have some variety in that. And then maybe they could have revealed that we only want these very specific illnesses that we can inject into your blood because we don't want to take them because we're the elite and we do not want to be mortal. We only want certain parts of the population to be mortal again. And so that I think it was a real mistake to not introduce that part of the script into it because I think that would have made things a bit more interesting.
But there's also a power dynamic that's happening on Gideon because you do see the council chambers where it's 5 guys and wide open spaces as far as the Gideons are concerned. And it's like, well, you have the power to do this. Like the council chambers themselves visually justifies the recreation of the Enterprise on Gideon because they do have the availability to just spread their arms and take a deep breath and feel at least somewhat distant to the rest of the population. I think that would have been an interesting thing to bring up when Kirk is in the council chambers. I'm not saying the episode is without flaws. I'm just saying that the ideas that it presents, very interesting without getting mired within the technicalities. But that's, again, simplistic mindhood.
Well, that's the only thing you're saying. You're saying because the council chambers have space, then it makes sense for us to have an entire recreation of the Enterprise that
That's
also
right.
has space.
Maybe it's a holodeck. You don't know.
See, that would have been cool. Although that's before we have holodecks. We don't see any holodecks until the animated series.
But it's the same sort of situation where perceiving what would have been better, and I'm guilty of it now myself, perceiving what would have made a more interesting narrative to make it all line up and Jenga properly.
Well, I'm gonna do it every time though, so.
Yeah, me too. Hi, have we met?
Yeah, Jenga's a fun game, but oftentimes it falls over.
Only when you're playing.
I don't know. For me, I still wasn't finished with my review. This episode is, to me, it's contradictory and nonsensical, and I have no idea why it exists. I do know why it exists. It's not spite. It's Cyrano Jones wanted to talk about overpopulation, but his story isn't what we got to see. I like that it wants to address that issue, but it does it in a silly way and tells us almost nothing. So we're about the Gideon people. So why should we really care? There's repetitive actions and dialogues, and the only value that I do see in it is that it's the first time we get lost in the muck of actual Federation bureaucracy, which becomes a major background theme every once in a while once we get into the next generation.
How dare you?
So I like it for that.
And very much in Enterprise.
Enterprise too, yeah. Well, wait a minute.
I think that's one thing.
We don't have the Federation in
no, but in
Enterprise
terms of
yet.
Interstellar
it's
diplomacy.
Like the United Earth something. I don't remember.
Jamboree.
The United Earth Jamboree, sure.
But I'm just happy to be able to get together and talk about Star Trek with people. If I like it and you don't like it, or if you like it and I don't like it, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
It's just
fun.
Yeah,
it's cool to hang out.
It's fun to be like, whatevs. I like the communicator and the phaser that Jim was talking about. Like, the thing is, we lost 9 minutes. I think that they were stolen. And that's extrapolation. It's never explained on screen. I could be absolutely out to lunch. So it's just a matter of your interpretation.
No, you're absolutely right there.
And PvP, when you say that this is all that exists in, like, what I'm sort of interpreting is based on what is happening in my brain. I believe if I could incorporate the heart, I would say that is how you sort of appreciate art.
Well, I just would like to comment on what you guys were just saying just now. It's like I always really enjoyed The Empath. I thought The Empath was a solid B-level episode. And, well, you just said it's good if we disagree because that makes it more interesting. Well, can I actually convey my thoughts, if that's okay? I think The Empath has a lot of good qualities. I particularly enjoy our triumvirate of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and there's a lot of good scenes with them interacting. There's a lot of emotion. It's obvious how much these three guys who have spent so many years working together have a deep respect and concern for each other's well-being. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought the actress that portrayed Jem, I found her performance quite effective, even though I know some other people don't. I thought the aliens were interesting because even though they were, resorting to using torture on our Enterprise crew, They were kind of doing it out of a good cause because they were testing Jim to see if her species was worthy of being the one species that they could save, because they only could save one species. So it wasn't like they were torturing, our boys, out of malice. They were, I think,
It was purposeful torture.
in their minds, it had a purpose. Yes, and
so torture is good in certain circumstances.
I'm not saying torture is good. I wouldn't.
Well,
agree
you said
with that.
you just did. You said that they weren't doing it out of malice.
Yeah, but this is a TV show, Scotty. I mean, it's science fiction, right? So I'm not recommending that in our real world. And that was an alien culture, right? So maybe they have a different set of morals than we do. But I think their intentions were good, even if their methods were brutal and nasty. And I just thought, I thought it was an interesting episode. I just liked the way, mainly the way we got to see our three, our big three interacting with one another. And I thought, it added some dimensions to their characters. And yeah, that's basically why I enjoyed it. And
dude, that's well, and if it is true that you haven't, and I feel like I remember you on a Tuesday Star Trek review show, but if you haven't been here before, thanks, man.
I'm always working. Yeah, the only reason I popped in today is because yesterday was a holiday. Otherwise,
I absolutely disagree with your take on the empath. I hate that episode and I don't think the torture was necessary. I think it was absolutely gratuitous and had absolutely no purpose, even though they were trying to save a planet. But the issue beyond that, I will tell you one thing I do agree with you on. The only scene I do like was when McCoy said that Spock had good bedside manner. That was cute.
Okay. I just found a lot more than that. I thought there was a lot of good interaction between the three of them in the episode, which is probably the main reason, that I like it. I mean, obviously the torture stuff, I would say maybe was gratuitous, but I think it made, in the context of the story as written, it made sense to me anyway. But if you hate it, that's fine.
Oh yeah, I definitely do.
It comes down to
I don't exactly. If anybody wants to know more about it, I do have a complete review on that episode, but I do want to make sure. So please check out my review on the empath.
Yeah,
that I did here on this channel.
Jill, yes. PvP, Nemesis, Pop Culture Curator, and chat. Here's the question that I always
must be chop liver.
Here's no. I want.
There's no question. I've got to say what the people in the chat rated this episode, and then
is it better than Nemesis?
By the way, I got to leave in a few minutes, guys, because I got to get back to work in about 19 minutes.
It was better than Nemesis because it was shorter.
Okay, that makes sense. I love it.
Oh, you got to leave PvP. Do you want to plug your things and go?
Well, yeah, I've just got my music channel. Not doing a whole heck of a lot right now. I do usually upload maybe one playlist a week, kind of thing. So that's about it. So yeah, I probably should head out. Anyway, it was fun to be able to pop on for once. This probably is a good chance this will be a one-time event, or maybe in the far future, I might have a chance to pop on again if my schedule does change. But yeah, it was just because of the holiday yesterday that I'm doing my short shift today. So that I always take lunch earlier.
Well, thanks for taking some time to talk to us about this episode.
Yeah, I just wanted to pop on.
I'll talk to you next time.
Sure. Okay. Sounds good, Jill. Sounds good, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Yep, take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming by, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Take care.
Oh, he's gone.
Yes. And thank heavens for that. No, wait.
So the chat gave us 32 votes for how would you rate the Mark of Gideon. And so we've got 34% at a B range, 31% at an A range. So we've got 65% saying this is a good episode. This is pretty good.
Nice.
And 22% and 12% give it a C range and D to F range, respectively. So there you go. That's what the chat rates it. And so now I can check out the chat and we can head out soon.
Gamma B's only 3%.
Jill, do you think I have enough time to go have a smoke?
You can.
Yay! I love this game.
That's great, though. Yeah, a lot of different opinions. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I like to see. Very healthy discussion.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to need a Vulcan mind meld with Kronos. No one here speaks silicon.
Uh-huh.
Oh, interesting idea, Edge of Time. Oh, no, Kronos says no. You cannot mind meld with him.
No mind melding.
Darn it.
Well, there goes that plan. The Reluctant Dragon says the problem with knowing the world population is that the CCP actively falsifies their population figures. So, do you think there are less people or more people than the figures indicate?
Probably
Well,
both.
I think that there's more people than the numbers indicate, but not necessarily. Well, is it intentional? I guess the miscount. That I don't know, but it's just that we know that it's physically impossible for them to count everybody.
Right.
Like me, I have not answered a census in years, decades. So yeah, I'm speaking for myself, but it's very unlikely. I think it's just to get an idea, a general figure.
So no one's ever come up to you asking you for census?
No.
Wow.
And I'm trying to remember. They used to go door to door, and I don't remember the last time I saw that.
Back in the 90s, I think it was.
When was the last time you saw it?
Well,
Jill?
well, actually, a couple years ago, and also, you don't know that the people answering the census are telling the truth either.
Yeah.
Right. How do you know they're not just writing down? I don't feel like walking up and down the whole block. I'm just going to put 50.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last time we had census around here was sometime in the 90s. That was about it.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so it's not going to be accurate, and that makes sense. Booger 414 says the original idea does sound better, but the episode would have been twice as long. Maybe not. A good episode can tell a complex story in a short amount of time, and it would be a more jam-packed episode in terms of giving you more ideas to think about. It still probably would have been dialogue heavy, but it would have been more substantive dialogue that meant something, that gave you something to think about in between scenes.
Yeah, and I think it would have helped if they didn't have to. I don't know if they have to or is it by default, but spend 50% of the time with the relationship to him and her, because that's really what bogged it down a lot too.
For sure, and there was really no purpose to it anyway.
Yes.
Edge of Time says she's got a cloaking device. Romulan influence suspected.
But
Now
me
you
personally,
can get.
I would have been upset. If I would have been Kirk, I would have been upset as soon as I found out they lied to me.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you'd have to feel betrayed a bit, and plus, I need to get back to my ship.
Yes.
That is Kirk. He would
Well,
not.
how about
hanging around?
How about them taking a sample of your body without your permission?
Right. That's a personal violation for sure. That's never. The Gideons are allowed. They're allowed to take anybody's blood they like.
Right. And it's funny how the Enterprise. I don't know how long exactly. Did they ever say how long it took that Kirk was out while they took the sample? Because apparently the Enterprise
9 minutes.
never lost 9 minutes. The Enterprise never lost any time. For them, it was instantaneous. So I don't know. I like I said, it could be a drinking game. You could write down all the flaws.
Yeah, let's find out all the plot holes to this episode.
Yes, exactly.
Man.
Maybe one of these days we could do that with some of the lowest rated Star Trek episodes. We'll do some drinking binges, huh?
That is something.
Die.
We are going to, if I'm not mistaken, Jill, we are going to be, once we are finished after the 7 more episodes, we are going to be talking about our tops and bottoms of,
we can talk
Star
about
Trek,
bottoms
the original series.
Maybe that's an excuse. Scotty, is that an excuse to have 2 more Star Trek episodes where one week we do the best episodes and the next week we do the worst episodes, or vice versa?
The best episodes I will make green tea, and
you mean
the worst episodes I will have shots of tequila.
So rather than have the best and the worst in one episode, you want, or in one stream, you want to do 2 streams, one for best and one for worst.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
I don't know. I've got to
Why
work
not?
on. I've got to work on the structure of it.
Okay.
We'll figure out. We do want to stick around and talk about the original series as much as possible before we have to say adieu.
Right. Yeah, that's my idea.
You
Spock
do
is
have to
going
leave in a few
against
minutes,
Starfleet.
right, Jill?
Yeah, yeah, I do in like about 13 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, Spock is going against Starfleet because Starfleet's being idiotic. They're like they don't realize Kirk is in danger. He is totally
They went
in
against
danger.
they went to get Starfleet before.
Sense. Yeah, they should because
Uh-huh.
Starfleet's not there. They don't understand what's happening.
Exactly.
This is such a terrible episode, says Franco Walker, but still far better than the alternative.
That seems to be up for debate for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Not for
right.
me.
Yeah. Do they
And
ever
for me,
explain?
I'm partial because of Vasquez Rocks. So
Well, and
yeah,
you know
that's
what?
true.
It's an interesting point that you bring up because we're out of location shots. Like we don't have any more location episodes.
Fred Freiberger won't let it happen anymore.
Yeah.
No, he's already spent the money. Apparently, he was at the bar last night.
But it's always such.
He
a nice
likes
thing
this
when they
episode.
go outside.
Also,
I wouldn't
Fred
be surprised.
Freiberger likes this episode.
I would not be surprised.
Do they ever explain why the entire population except the government is wearing onesies? No, they don't.
Yeah, I know, right?
No. That's a good
I
question.
don't think
though.
they do, right?
Hoodie onesies, no less. Right. They look a little goofy.
You would figure that they would, be succumbed by body heat, so they don't need hats.
Where you think that people would be fishing on your leg all the time?
Yes.
Maybe that's one of the reasons that Donna doesn't like being around her own people.
Possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
Jerry
also why
is always peeing on me.
Jeez, that's also why they can't breathe. That's also the issue with the oxygen problem because of all the ammonia in the air.
Hence the piggybacks.
Oh, and then you're just gonna pee on people's heads. Now, okay, wait a minute. James Caserta says worst episodes. This alternative factor, Lights of Zatar, Wink of an Eye. What else?
Way of Eden. I vote for Way of Eden. Sorry.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that one.
Well, next week is Lights of Zatar. Resources much? The math doesn't work out.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Food. They're having to feed all those people, right?
It just doesn't make sense, Reba Bell. Do they just throw food all over everybody's faces?
They have the crap standing up.
They have catapults.
Buffet troughs.
Mm-hmm. It's the one where that guy keeps jumping between parallel universes and fighting.
Yes.
Oh, the alternative factory.
Yeah.
That's the whole episode.
We'll take a swig every time Lazarus falls off a rock.
Can't they see that they're in love?
And
all they want to do is hug.
Who's in love?
Lazarus.
Oh, Lazarus is in love.
Well,
they get to be. In that case, it's a happy ending because they get to be in love forever.
What if they did fall in love in eternity and then they started, what if they got into a relationship? They couldn't procreate.
That's what would happen when Scotty R37 writes Star Trek.
Exactly. What's the opposite of Scotty R37? It's got to be like Scotty R what? 22?
73?
That's the one.
James.
The Way to Eden was the best Star Trek episode, next to Spock's brain, of course, says James.
Yeah, we'll all do a sing along.
I cannot. I have not seen Way to Eden in over a decade. I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait.
Well, I can wait, but I'd say 2 or 3 decades at least for me. I'm guessing in the 1980s, probably, to be honest.
Me too.
Ari Bavel says, I feel the agony of watching Gideon. Well done. I didn't like the half black, half white episode. So Kronos did not let that be your last battlefield.
And yet you like Oreos.
I didn't either, but I like it better than this one. But it's interesting that you mentioned that one because that one also tried to tackle a big issue that it was kind of over the top with it.
And another bottle episode.
And another bottle. Oh, there's a theme.
Getting a lot of those, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Edger Time also says, so their immunity was unnecessary from lack of germs? There's a lot of hand sanitizer. I imagine them hosing down the atmosphere like the Chinese hose down their streets.
I didn't know the Chinese were the only ones. Interesting.
Brain cells. No room. Where do they grow food? Great question, the Electric Dragon. That's
Yeah, exactly. Where do they grow food? Where do they go to the bathroom? Where do they sleep? Standing up? They sleep standing up?
They have to.
The more you think about this episode, the less sense it makes.
Why are they incapable of replicators?
Because, well, the Federation doesn't even have them, so then they must have
more
technology than
What is the limit of what is the limit of their technology? Obviously they were able to contact Starfleet. So I'm just curious, how advanced are they, and what's their limitations?
Plus they were able to recreate the image,
the Enterprise.
The Enterprise, and make it good enough to fool Captain Kirk.
Yeah, the entire ship, according to him. Yeah. He said he been over every inch of that ship. I mean, that's a cringe line right there. It's like, oh no, serious?
JD Lewis says, great show today. I have a doctor's appointment now. Take care, everybody.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
No fun.
I'm so sorry I missed you leaving, JD Lewis. Yeah, I hope you're having a good appointment and they don't make you wait around too long.
Hopefully, JD Lewis is listening on the way there. That's what I usually do. I know when I can.
It's always disappointing. Booger414 says, does anyone remember the Sliders episode where ATMs gave out free money, but it was tied to death lottery tickets? Whoa.
Oh, yeah. I used to like Sliders. It was
Sliders is cool.
Yeah, the first few seasons were really good.
I don't remember that episode, but that sounds, that would have been better here too. Why didn't Spock do the double neck pinch?
I thought about that too. That's right. I was going to bring that up. Right, because those two guys, he came up behind them, he pinched one, and then threw the other one through him, and throwing him knocks him out.
Right, because he's Vulcan, so he can toss men like they're dolls. So that makes sense, but
makes him want to sleep.
Violent.
Yeah. Very good, Franco. Thank you. I had forgotten. I was going to bring that up, and I forgot. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad Franco mentioned it.
Absolutely.
Smartphones, says Curtis. Soylent Green is loosely based on the 1966 novel Make Room by Harry Harrison.
Absolutely.
And yes, if you missed it, I did start the live stream with that because I wanted to show a better movie about overpopulation. Gavin
more action. Better movie with more action. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's okay. Maybe I'll talk about it one day.
Have you covered it yet on your stream?
I have not yet.
Maybe I could do it on my Tuesday night stream, unless you beat me to it.
Well, either of us could do it. Or both of us could do it. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Like I might cover some of the movies you've done already.
Well, it's probably easier for me to be on your stream on a Friday than it is for you to be on mine on a Tuesday, because you're usually busy Tuesday nights.
Right.
It's a beautiful movie, but once you know the spoiler, it loses all magic.
It's still a good movie. I can watch it over and over. It's the story that still holds up.
That makes one of us.
Yeah.
It's like Planet of the Apes, right? It's got a twist ending, but I don't care. Once I know the ending, I can still go back and watch it.
Yeah, but there's more going on with Planet of the Apes because of the makeup and the set design and
it's a different
confusion. But once you find out what is going on in the world of, I believe it's 2021 on Earth, it's just like, okay.
I think for me, I'm nostalgic because it was Edward G. Robinson's last role.
Well, I'm glad that Edward G. Robinson died.
Okay.
Oh, are you feeling well? Cronus wants to know.
Pop.
Yes, Kronos, thank you. It's been a roller coaster this week, but thank you. Yes, I am. I've got a lot of appointments next week. I'm trying to balance them around my streaming. But thank you, Kronos. That's very kind of you.
I agree. Does the UFP have sample of diseases anymore? Oh, yeah, that's exactly what Pop was saying. We hear periodically.
Yes, they do.
That they have cured them all. Why keep samples except for germ warfare? Oh,
well, they keep samples in case they have to if there's a, let's say measles, they're going to keep a sample of it in case there's ever if a resurgence or if it mutates. So they want the original there so they can study that.
But
and they could cure every disease, but they're not going to give them to us because they make more money off the treatment.
But you're confusing the UFP with the Gideons. The Gideons, they regenerate. They're almost.
Well, I was just answering that. No, I wasn't mentioning the Gideons at all. I was answering that question.
Yeah, it was just a question on why the Federation keeps diseases around, and then it'd be because
that makes sense.
Just in case they come back.
I didn't mean to jump all over the Cabbage Patch.
But you did.
And I apologize. Yeah. I'll buy you new cabbages.
Yeah, James Caserta wanted an episode with the hypocrisy of the elite. Also, that would have been more intriguing, I think, too.
Well, Star Trek 6
everything is better than Nemesis.
Elite.
I agree with that.
Star Trek 6, yeah. See, that's how to do it. I like Star Trek 6.
Yeah, so do I.
They're that's why we're looking for Planet X being number 10.
Duck
Oh, let's see how much of this.
In the 24th
I know I'm running out of time.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, and Tiger Stripes is talking about how the Chinese gave away their babies. They're bound to be having a population decline, which was what they were trying to do.
And when they were giving away babies, I took like 3. I don't even know where to put them.
Well, an
stick them on
orphanage because you can't be taking care of babies.
They're very helpful. They've been a very productive staff.
Booger says, will you go on to review TAS? No, because go check out Pop Culture Curator's channel.
Jill was there. She basically did, but on my channel, right?
Yeah, I did cover it on Pop Culture Curator's channel. That's where I was. It's basically the same kind of show as this one.
Yep, we started at the same time. It's just that Jill had more shows to have than I, because I only had 22 to do, right?
Exactly. And here we are, the last few to finish out the 79.
How time flies when you're having fun.
Tell me about it.
For sure.
Well, speaking of fun and having time fly, I do have to take my leave. You guys have a great day.
Well, okay, tell us what you're doing online, and we'll all do that, and we'll head out.
Mostly annoying people. I do hang out on the Phantasmagorium show, and Kat, my co-host, on Thursday nights. We're talking about the Fargo television show. We're on season 4. We're going to be talking about episodes, I think it's 7 and 8 this week. And then the rest of the time, I'm sure Jill can tell you about because I hang out with her mostly. Sometimes I show up and say hello to people. Sometimes they want me there and sometimes they don't. And that's only because I can be a bit of a handful. And so I understand and appreciate. But, good graces, yo. That's all I'm trying to do. And I hope to see many of you in the future. In the future? The future.
And we will. Thank you for being here, Scotty R37.
It's absolutely my pleasure. You're
Take
amazing.
care.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, panel.
Take care, Scotty.
Thank you, Pop. Thank you, Jim.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And Larry, I love your body.
Alrighty then. He's gone.
He is gone.
So
Jim, what are you doing around
here? 3:00, Jill.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking Jim what he's doing around on the internet.
Well, like I said earlier, I did a couple of my characters. Going to be going through editing, getting them done. Trying to get some other ones. I got 2 in the pan ready to fry and get going here. There is a trailer being released tomorrow, so check that out on my channel. And next Monday, another video, and following month there'll be another one. So keep on watching Commodore Productions. You never know what you're going to see.
For sure.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes, you're welcome. Absolutely. Top Coach Curator, what's going on?
Thank you for having me on here, Jill. Tonight at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, we're going to be covering the movie Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers. Be there if you like that sort of thing. Tomorrow night, we're going to be back with more episodes of the classic Gilligan's Island Season 3. That will be at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And then we'll be back Saturday night for Rumblies from the Lab, 7 p.m. Mountain Time once again. Oh, I'm sorry, Gilligan's Island is 8 p.m. Mountain Time. That's the only exception. And then Saturday, Rumblies from the Lab, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And then back on Monday with a classic episode of Lost in Space at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And most of all, thank you for having me here, Jill. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And it doesn't matter about the episode or good or bad. It's being on the show is what I'm here for. And that's very endearing, and I love it. So thank you.
Yes, of course. Yes. And we don't have too many of the episodes left to go. So
Right.
it is pretty great. And I realize how I can feel how each one is a little more special because of that. So thank you for joining us. And thank you to Jim. Thank you to Scotty R37 and PvP, who showed up for a little bit to give us his review of not only this episode, but also of the Empath. He was ready to go with that one. that was really cool. Then for me on Friday, I'm going to review The Prophecy. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm reviewing it because I've got over 666 subscribers. So just for fun.
Excellent.
Just an excuse for that. And on Tuesday, we're going to review the next original series episode, which is The Lights of Zatar.
Hey.
So I've got to dash. I got to see you guys later. Thank you so
Bye-bye,
much.
everyone.
I'll see you next time.
Hit the like, everybody.
Daddy's got to
Take
go to
care.
lunch. Please subscribe, share, hit the like, and select live chat, says Franco Walker.
Yes.
And Tyron walks in right at the end. I just saw
Hello,
my
Tyron.
notification. Don't tell me I missed it. Start again. Oh, okay.
Watch the rerun. You'll enjoy it. It was a great stream.
I guess I
There
don't
you
have
go.
to go pick up my children from school. We have to do this all over again. You guys ready?
Right. Hello, everybody.
Okay, so yeah, we'll
Good
talk
to see
you
you
guys
all. A
later.
great turnout. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Captain!
You ever seen anything like that before?
Negative. She's dead.
We must get back to the ship. You'll be killed if we stay.
Prepare to lock phasers into the heart of the community.
Captain! When you fired the phasers, they stunned her and she crumpled. Another shot and you'll kill her!
All personnel, attention. Alien forces penetrated the ship. Take defensive action. Attention all personnel. Alien being has penetrated the ship.
Faster to them. You will all die.
learn all that is learnable.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
See you around the galaxy.